have the whole, is Sarah here? Not at the moment.
Sarah is here.
Not at the moment. So from the docket of February 19th, 2019, I would like to entertain a motion to confirm the appointment of Stanley Esteen, I hope I pronounced that correctly, 12 Ashford Lane, to fill an expired term on the Council of Human Rights, the new term to expire February 2022. And Stanley, I wonder if you would like to come to the podium and introduce yourself and share with us a little bit of your background and why Council on Human Rights is of interest for you.
Okay. Hi. So my name is Stanley Estime. I've been a member of the city of Attleboro as a resident for about 15 years now. In my day-to-day job, I work as the Director of Regulatory Affairs and Research Compliance at Harvard University. So my background for, I would say, the past 15 years, I've been working in the area of human subjects protection, so basically helping people who are getting involved in research and looking at compliance, in particular working with different ethnic groups and populations. So at the School of Public Health, we have a global initiative where we conduct research throughout the world, not just here in Massachusetts. So I interact with people from different walks of life. And one of the things that I would say is that inclusive and the inclusive environment at Harvard University, as well as what I'm seeing more here within the city of Attleboro, because when I first came here, I would say that it wasn't as diverse a community as it was, but as it is now. But I have two young kids, and I would say, especially within the school system, I'm starting to notice more and more people where my kids can interact and just be involved with different people, not just of different races and ethnicities, but sexual orientations, and I'm just very inclusive individual myself, so I'm very open to like working with different types of people and just making sure that the community at large just continues to be as inclusive as possible. So that's one of the main reasons I really wanted to be part of the Human Rights Commission, and so that's why I'm here today. And I've already started sharing like different ideas and initiatives that I had for the city to help not just the individuals, but just the businesses as well, and the organizations within the city to help us to become more inclusive and diverse as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Stanley, have you had any experience in building organizations from the ground?
Well, I worked in Nigeria, so one of the things that we did a couple of years ago, I worked at a program in Nigeria, and we built a clinic there, and so the population was obviously strictly Nigerian, but we kind of helped like develop a foster community, and I worked with a lot of the local collaborators in setting up like healthcare settings for the people within that community. It was in Lagos.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Please, Councilor Dolan.
Well, thank you for volunteering for this, and I just want to wish you luck, and I hope you get done what you need, what you want to do, and you have good luck.
Okay,
Thank you.
And one thing that I also wanted to say is like for the mayor, so one of the things that I think a lot of you guys probably didn't know, I was very active like within his campaign as well. So one of the things that I like to do is just basically whenever there's an initiative within the community, whether it's my neighbors, I live in the cul-de-sac, like I made it like a point to just really to get to know all of my neighbors. I think a lot of people, we don't do that anymore. You know, you have the person next door and you never really talk to them, but I'm just the type of person that I really just like try to get to know people, find out what they're all about, and that was one of the things that I really did when the mayor came on board, and I tried to help promote his campaign after he took the time to speak to me in person.
Well, thank you. Did you have any questions for us?
I would say I just want to know, like, what's your vision? I know that the council has kind of been kind of latent for the past couple of years, but what's the vision for it going forward?
Please.
So Stanley, I'm not sure that I have the most experience, but I have a lot of experience with the Human Rights Committee going in the past. And what I've seen is a lot of turnover in the personnel because they were frustrated that they couldn't get anything done. And now that we're going to make it a commission, and now that we've got some new breath blown into the balloon, I expect to see it expand and get solid. So that's my expectation, Stanley, is that I'd like to see it settle down, to get some people that'll stick and set some goals and get some accomplishments, and to make sure that what you need to help you get there is given to you, or we're making the effort to get it to you, so that there's some optimistic hope that you can accomplish something. And I know there's a few people that are probably listening to this broadcast that have been through the chair that you're in and are hoping for the same thing. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. And I might add, I was on the Council for Human Rights before I joined this council. And it's a very good group of people, and I feel it's quite inclusive. And I believe you will find the kinds of people that you might be looking for to join with in your efforts.
I know I partnered with Lori. I worked with her, Lori Sawyer, very closely as well. So she was one of the ones that kind of pushed me to be on board with the council as well, after I kind of gave her a lot of support for the mayor's race.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And so, shall we have a vote? All those in favor of Stanley on the Human Rights Council?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. The vote passes. Nobody opposed. And you are now on the Council for Human Rights. Thank you.
Point of order, we have to vote in front of the full council next
Well,
week.
that's true. It does go to the full council. Sorry. But you passed the committee. Okay, so next, I would entertain a motion to confirm the appointment of Sandy Verrier, 353 Tiffany Street, to fill an expired term on the Zoning Board of Appeals, term to expire February 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Sandy, would you be willing to come forward? Thank you. And share us your name, your address, and why you're here.
Okay, I'm Sandy Varia. I'm 353 Tiffany Street here in Attleboro. Already on the board of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I've been on it for about 6 years, and I'm not actually up for reappointment right now. As you said, it was 2021. It's just that with the passing of Keith Hutchings, one of our full-time members will move up into his position, and I'm an associate member, or have been, and now I'll just be moving up into to be a full-time member as opposed to an associate member.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
It's more of a comment, if I may. Sandy, thank you for volunteering to step up, continuing the great work you've already done.
Thanks.
And again, deepest condolences to you and the entire board. It's just a tremendous
Yeah.
loss. So thank you for stepping up and filling that void.
Thanks.
And continue the good work.
Okay.
Councilor Blair.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Peter.
I want to thank you for your past service. You've done a great job there.
Thank
Any
you.
of the meetings I've been to, you're open-minded. You keep
Yeah, we have to
open
be.
mind when stuff comes before you. And I've enjoyed listening to you when you do make a comment.
Thanks.
And I don't go that often, but when I do.
None of you go that often.
I only go when I have something to talk about.
I know.
But you do a great job, and I think it's a great, we're lucky to have you to move up into that position.
Thank you.
Councilor Connor.
Sandy and I go way back. And I miss your chair.
Thanks.
That's it.
That was emotional.
Anything else?
Thank you, Rick.
Are there any
sorry?
other?
Thank you.
Just a thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all the work that you've already done and your willingness to step forward in a difficult time.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. So all those in favor of voting?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote passes 3-0. Thank you. I should have asked for a second. I didn't. So was there a second before?
There was
Peter
a
second.
second.
Peter
There was a
seconded.
I
second.
didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Okay. So now I entertain a motion to confirm the appointment of Sean McNamara of 83 Ritchie Road to fill an unexpired term on the planning board, term to expire February 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Just a little background on myself. I've lived in Attleboro since 2000 with my wife and my daughter, Allie. I coach my daughter's soccer team. This is the last year, she's 12, and I'm not doing teenage girls, no offense. But the reason I'm interested in the planning board is because of some issues that I've been having over the last 5 years at my development, where it's just brought to light some things that are going on in the city where I think there's some reform needed with the way we do things with regards to the planning board and boundaries we set forth for developers. And my parents taught me at a young age, you know, you don't want to just be someone who complains about it. If you get a chance to do something about it, do it. And so when Paul Denesi and the mayor asked me to volunteer, I was excited about it. And Laura will attest to my excitement.
Are there any questions? Councilor Blair.
Pardon me, but what is your background in the other world?
Oh, in the real world?
Yeah.
I'm a wine consultant. Yeah, I work for the Gala Winery, so I work with restaurants, bars, and nightclubs developing cocktail and beverage programs. So I don't get a lot of sympathy at home when I have long hours because I basically take people out to dinner for work, but there are some tough days at a job, but not really. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, any other questions? Councilor Delicio.
Thank you. Sean, it's good to see you come out. I remember a couple years ago, you were out in front of us speaking about some of the issues going on in your neighborhood, and I thought you were articulate. You did your homework. I think that experience will give you some of the tools that you need to be successful on the planning board, so just thank you for volunteering, because, you know, these are important. The Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, they're very important committees to the city, and you already have some experience from a personal level, which I think will help you really be able to weigh some of the decisions that come in front of you. So thank you very much for throwing your hat in the ring.
Thank you.
Councilor Dolan.
Hi, Sean.
How are you?
Me and Sean go way back to, no, he's one of my constituents, and we've worked together a lot, and I think he'll do very well, and, you know, different mindset, different point of view on things, you know, that like everybody likes to have in all these boards, but I think he'll do great, and he'll be a breath of fresh air. So thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I enjoyed my conversation with you very much. I could tell that you are a person who really wants, well, say when a development goes in, you want it done right. And your concern for abutters, and when we talked, is admirable, because I felt, as do you, that the abutters always need to be considered when a new development goes in.
Agreed.
So thank you for that, and thank you for your offer to serve. So,
Thanks.
good evening. So I would call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The vote passes 3-0. And I would now entertain a motion to confirm the appointment of Sherry Miller Bedeau, 631 Park Street, to fill an unexpired term on the Council of Substance Abuse Prevention, term to expire February 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Sandy, thank you for coming this evening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Miller Bedeau, and I'm from Attleboro. Moved away in college and lived away for about 15 years, then moved back, started a family. And I went back to grad school a year and a half ago, and I teach massage therapy. And the reason I was so interested in this committee, to join is I'm doing my research on basically using therapeutic massage in lieu of prescription drugs for chronic soft tissue ailments. There's been a lot of research done, and, different research says 10 to 20% of people who do take substances for pain relief become dependent upon it. And I really feel that therapeutic massage can be a way to go to avoid that. So I want to bring that kind of angle to the committee and learn from it and be a part of it in the community that has done so well for me.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilor Dolan?
Sherry and I actually do go way back.
Yes.
We've known each other for a long time, and
Went to school, yeah.
she'll be a huge asset to any board you put her on because she does everything. She's adventurous, she's smart, she's funny, there's nothing that she doesn't do. So, and her compassion knows no bounds. So I'm thrilled that
Oh, Laura.
you'll be a part of this board. I think you'll be great.
Oh, thank you.
And I appreciate you volunteering. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Holmes? I thought I saw your hand go up. Are there any other questions? Well, I'm delighted that you're willing to offer your expertise to this Substance Abuse Committee. So thank you very much, and hopefully you'll be joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry.
So I would hold a vote. All those in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
And I say aye. Vote passes 3-0. And now, shall we recess this committee, and we'll come back to it at a later time tonight. Thank you. Oh,
We need to vote to, was there one other individual?
wait a minute, I might have forgotten one person. Thomas. Can we suspend the recess?
Well, you never voted on the
You
recess.
never voted on the
so
recess, so you're fine.
I'm fine.
You're good.
You're
I
fine.
would like to entertain I entertain a motion, let me go back, to confirm the appointment of Thomas Lee, 1195 Oak Hill Avenue, to fill an unexpired term on the Conservation Commission. This term will expire February 2020. Sorry, Thomas.
Quite all right, Zach. Government, it's okay. I'm from Attleboro.
If I could just, I'm going to point of order, just if Sarah seconded that for you, so you might want to make sure you have that. Go ahead. My apologies, go ahead.
I'm from Attleboro. I've always been interested in conservation, wetlands, waterways, and habitats here in Attleboro. And that is truly why, when the opportunity came up and the mayor offered it, I said, I'd like to join.
Are there any questions? Yes, Councilor Dolan.
Just a comment. Thank you for volunteering. We appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Please.
Do you have any background in conservation or anything like that?
No, I'm basically an outdoor person. I've been, when I'm not working, I'm always outdoors, working in the backyard. I have a huge wildlife habitat in my backyard that it's just to protect everything for the younger crew that's coming up, so we have something to show them when they get older.
You'll be fortunate. Nick Wiley, our conservation agent, he's a very, very bright individual, and he'll be able to kind of give you direction on like the Mass state laws as it pertains to conservation and different things like that. So it'll be a great educational experience for you, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
I had a great meeting with Gary Erastian and Nick Wiley,
Good.
and very interested in working on new projects.
Good, awesome. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, Sarah. I was a few minutes late to the ball game here, but when I was on the Conservation Commission, there was a free series of 8 that was put on from the state that all conservation agents went through and Conservation Commission members, and it was valuable to learn about sort of what that was all about, what other municipalities were doing, but also to learn different species of plants and what an upland plant is versus a wetland plant, and what's protected and what isn't, and if they still do that, we should seek that out.
Yeah, we've already talked about that. I'm looking forward to get started.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions? Well, thank you very much, and
Thank
I
you, Ty.
really appreciate your effort to help the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. So shall we vote on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Vote passes. And now I would recommend a recess.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All those in
All
favor?
those in favor?
Aye.
So you are now
Anybody?
recessed.
7:20.
Opposed?
So you recess at
7:20.
7:20?
Good. So I'd like to call the Capital Improvement City Development Committee to order at 7:20. Members on my committee are Councilor Dolan and Councilor Waterman, but of course, all councilors can participate, and we enjoy your participation. On the docket of March 5th, 2019, I entertain a motion to refer the following matter, loan order for $1,500,000 for the permitting, bidding, construction, oversight, and construction costs associated with plant upgrades to the city wastewater treatment facility located at 27 Pond Street North, to the planning board for study and recommendation, and to hold public hearing on Tuesday, March 19, 2019.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So to discuss this, I've asked Tom to join us at, Thomas Hayes is the manager of the wastewater department. And Tom, if you'd come to the podium, if you could explain to the public in terms that a layman might understand, what this $1.5 million is going to do to the plant, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, did you receive a copy of my memo?
I did, but you have to assume that the people watching this broadcast
Do not.
have not received a memo.
All right, the project is going to consist of 3 components. The first component is the sludge gravity thickeners. There's 3 of them at the facility. They're original to the facility, so they were installed in 1978.
Tom, what does a gravity thickener do?
Basically, all the solids that are collected in the process need to be thickened to a higher % solid so they can be watered properly. So we take all the solids and we send them to the gravity thickeners, where the gravity is used to thicken the sludge before they do the watering process. So it's really crucial in the final process of the plant, which is getting rid of the solids we remove.
Got it.
Okay. So the thickeners were installed in 1978. They were never upgraded during the large upgrade we did in the early 2000s at the time. And we suffered failure on one of them, and we repaired it last year. Gravity thickener number 3 was rebuilt last year under another project. Since that time, gravity thickener number 1 has failed. Gravity thickener number 2 is imminently going to fail, and we cannot function with less than 2 gravity thickeners at the facility. So we need to go in, we need to rebuild the entire thickener, replace all the mechanical components below the water line. Any structural concrete repairs that need to be made will be made. There's valve replacements that need to be done from corrosion, from being, in the ground since 1978. We'll have to do a lot of valve replacement work. And we're going to do both gravity thickeners at the same time. This will reduce the cost of the contractor being on site, the engineering, the oversight, and there's a long lead time. There's a 20-week lead time to get these components manufactured to rebuild them. So we can actually do both at the same time. They'll both go into production at the same time and show up on site.
And then as part of this, $1.5 million is a lime silo boot replacement?
Yes.
What does a lime silo boot do?
The lime silo boot physically connects the hopper that delivers the lime to the slate, because we have a 40-foot lime silo at the facility. It holds 2,600 cubic feet of quick lime, which is granular lime, that we use throughout the process for pH control, metals precipitation. It's an alkalinity source for nitrification in a biological process. The rubber is joined to a cone at the bottom of this 40-foot silo, and that cone is the delivery system that delivers the 2 lime slakers. The slakers take the granular quick lime, they mix it with water, and they create a slurry that we pump throughout the facility. There's a rubber bladder or a boot that connects this cone to this silo. It's aged, it's original to the plant. It's cracking, it has holes in it that's ruptured. There's lime that's leaking out of the boot now, and if it does fail, which it's imminent, it's going to fail, you have 2,600 cubic feet of lime that could basically pour into the building if we don't repair this, so it needs to be done.
And then in this project, you have a contingency.
Yes.
And did I say that that's a 30% contingency?
No, the contingency is better than 30%. My original memo has it, I do not have it in this memo.
What I have, Tom, is I have the silo boot replacement is $35,000. The VFD, which is the variable frequency drive replacements, is $737,000. The sludge gravity thickeners are $407,000 for a total of $1,179,000 in construction. And then to get that construction accomplished, first we need to have bidding, which is going to be $85,100. No, sorry, design work at $81,000, $85,100. We have bidding costs of $23,500. We have construction oversight, and I'm assuming that you're going to hire a project manager, outside project manager?
Yeah, we'll have a project manager and RE on site doing the oversight, yep.
Right.
The contingencies vary from the three components of this project. They're not all the same.
So you're using anachronisms. Is that construction oversight a owner's project manager?
Yes.
Okay. And that's $178,000 because this project is expected to take how long?
We're going to start construction hopefully in the summer. We're going to go out to bid this spring. After the design is done, we'll start construction in the summer. And it's basically going to be ongoing throughout most of the next fiscal year because of the lead time on the components. The lime silo will probably be quicker because it's a small item. The gravity thickness with the lead time, 20 weeks, it's going to take longer. That may go right into winter time, which it did last time. We expect that. And the other component of this loan authorization is the variable frequency drives, which basically control all the electrical motors for the large pumps at the plant. They were installed in 2004. They're obsolete. You can no longer get components for them. The computer boards are no longer manufactured. The company that makes them doesn't make them anymore. We have a small supply of spare parts, but once they're exhausted, we can't repair these drives.
So this is the $737,000 of variable frequency drives that you're discussing right now, is that correct?
This is the VFDs.
Yep.
Yep.
So you also, you have a lot of things going on, Tom.
Yeah.
You've got a massive list of capital improvements all going on at the same time with
Correct.
high priorities over the next 3 years, and we're going to get into that in a minute or two. But I want to make it clear to the public and clear to the counselors how this $1.5 million bond fits into the big picture of everything else. So we're at a point now where we're opening up a new sludge landfill. We're at a point where we're going to be decommissioning in the old plant. How does that fit in with this $1.5 million bond?
The new sludge landfill is already under construction. That was already approved. That was a fund that's already ongoing. So that is just a requirement. We have nowhere to put the sludge. We ran out of room to put the sludge a couple of years ago. We've been really, stacking it. So that's an ongoing project that's been in play for quite a while now. That's going to be another thing that's going to happen is once this one is done, we have to start siting a new landfill again. So that's going to be something that's on the radar for next year. We have to look into siting another site for another sludge landfill or an alternative disposal method. And that's what we have to look into next, and we will be looking into very soon. After we start operating this landfill, which will be probably within the next month, we're going to start siting a new landfill.
So you mentioned that the variable frequency drives that you're going to be replacing at $737,000 were installed in 2004.
Correct.
So they only have a 14-year life at the most.
The thing is, when you buy something like that, you don't buy something that was just made that year. These are components that have been around for a while. They're proven, and so they've been on the market. This model's been on the market, this style, and they're electronic and computer-driven. All the electronics are controlled by computers, and you know how computers are. They change every 6 months. So they're basically obsolete. You can't get the circuit boards, the main boards for the computers. You can get some of the components like the capacitors and the rectifiers, but the actual computers that control the VFDs, you can't get them anymore.
So when you replace the variable frequency drives, you're replacing them to fit the new SCADA system that's going to be coming to the plant?
It'll all integrate. That's all just controls and loops and things like that. That's not going to be a problem. That's just 4 to 20 loops or discrete on-off type thing, so that's not going to be a problem. They'll integrate fine with the new system. They'll integrate with the old system, too.
So what did we figure out the contingency was? Were you able to find that?
I do not have that with me right now, no.
I have it as $521,254.30.
Okay, that's the overall contingency for all three, but for that individual, if you want to buy each,
No,
okay.
no,
So that
overall's
is
good.
the full contingency for the full three projects, then yes.
Okay. So that looks to be about 25%, because my total project is $1,986,854.30. We've already appropriated $486,854.30 to the project.
Yep.
So therefore, you're looking for the $1.5 million bond.
Yes.
Do we have any questions? Councilor Cooper?
I just have a procedural question, Council Conti. I'm perplexed why we're getting into this level of granularity on this when we haven't had the public hearing yet.
I want
Wouldn't
to,
this be it?
yeah, if I can explain. I wanted to get to this detail now because Tom was available tonight. I want to schedule a plant tour with the council, my committee, and all councilors in March, and have everything going together while the public hearing is being scheduled for March 19th, so that after the public hearing on March 19th, we can close the public hearing and go on a vote.
But, so procedurally, I'm just perplexed at how we can take testimony from the public on a matter before the public, be it the department head, be it before the public hearing.
Well, my thinking was that if we got the details of this complex project out into the open before the public hearing, the public would have an opportunity to ask questions about the details.
Yeah, I don't dispute that, but sometimes I don't think that the way the process happens always makes sense. And if it takes a little longer, I just think that both of these are huge amounts of money for huge projects. That you're right, a public hearing on the 19th probably isn't going to do it justice, and there would be further discussion after, and we could leave the public hearing open to make sure that the public understood it. But I'm feeling somewhat like we're put in this case, we're putting the cart before the horse, because I think the public hearing, the members of the public that have particular interest in this, or those that watch us every week, would expect this particular presentation at that time. So is the plan to do that again?
We certainly
at
can.
that time?
We certainly
and I don't
can,
want to get.
because I have Tom here for a dual purpose tonight.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So the motion on the floor is to hold the public hearing on Tuesday, March 19th, and refer this matter to the planning board, right? Is that all clear? You have a question?
I did, but I don't know if I should hold it. I don't.
There's going to be a lot of opportunity to discuss this, so you're welcome to ask the question.
I just want to clarify something, Tom, that you said. Are we running on one thickener now?
We're running on GT3, which was just rebuilt last year. Gravity Thickener 2 is still in operation, but it's on its way out. So we're functional right now, but once the summer hits, we start doing our nitrogen removal and our phosphorus removal full swing. We had a lot of coagulants. My sludge production goes through the roof, and I need 3 thickeners up and running as soon as possible for that.
And if this goes through efficiently, are we going to make it?
It's a matter of lead time. That's the biggest thing. It's a 20-week. Last time we bought one, we installed it last year. There was a 20-plus week lead time on getting the components built by Walker Process, because they have to go back to the old drawings from '78 and basically build these things by hand for us. Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna, you got a 20-year-old, 30-year-old tank you have to retrofit, so you got to go back to the old drawings and just basically manufacture everything you need to the old specification.
Any other questions? The motion's in order. All in favor? Aye.
I
I will say aye.
Thank you. So we will be calling for a public hearing on March 19th, and we'll refer the matter to the planning board. Tom, don't go away. While you're here,
Yes.
Tom, the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has received the capital projects report for wastewater for fiscal year 2020 through 2024. And there's several items that are priority one in 2020, the upcoming fiscal year.
Yes.
Some of it relates to what we just discussed, the design to replace the variable frequency drives, the construction to replace the variable frequency drives, the replacement for the sludge gravity thickener, and the I think those are the only ones that are in there, but in addition to that, you have existing Phase 2 landfill cap construction and old treatment plant demolition to take place next year.
We expect that to take place. We're just waiting for the final word from DEP to open up our new cell, which, like I said, within the next month is coming. It should be soon. Once we get permission, then we're going to go into the design and construction phase of capping the landfill across the street, which is a requirement. Once completed, then we'll move into the design and demolition of the existing treatment plant that goes back to the early 60s that's still on site. That's basically, it's a hazard right now.
Then you have a replacement of a second stage AC. It's a priority 2 for 2020.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to have some money at the end of this year to do it at the end of the fiscal year. We lost right at the time that the memo was due to Gary for the capital projects. We lost an AC unit on one of our pump stations, and it actually is in the VFD room. It helps cool the VFDs. So I want to get it fixed this spring, if possible, the money that we're going to hopefully have left over in the budget to do it, because otherwise it's going to be hard going into the summer months without the AC on in that building.
Sure. And then finally, you have a baseline flow monitoring plan for infiltration and inflow Phase 1. That's priority 2 for 2020, but I suspect it's the same thing. You're going to try and squeeze that into this year's
Point of
budget.
order, Mr. Chairman. Again, I think the capital improvements plan is subject to a public hearing. I think we're putting the cart before the horse. I know this is the final item, but these are issues that are subject to and have traditionally had public hearing. We've discussed capital improvement items on capital improvement public
Okay.
hearing night.
So noted. One last thing is that when I look at these totals, Tom, I have priority 1 and priority 2, the things that you'd like to accomplish in the fiscal year is $4.2 million. So that includes the bond that we just talked about and the other things that are on the list.
The landfill and the demolition of the old plant are actually already funded.
Okay.
They are ongoing. They have, that component hasn't started yet. That was part of the large fund 3219, the $7.4 million appropriation where we did the new cell, we did the storage facility, then we're going to move on to capping the old Phase 2 landfill, then we're going to demo the original treatment plant. So those were funded. So the money's already there. That's already been funded. So that's already showing up.
So sometime in the coming week, I'd like to work with you to come up with a firm figure for what you'd like to expend in capital for the next year before the public hearing. And then I'm going to ask the Budget and Appropriations Committee to look into the water and wastewater expenditures together and what debt is coming down off of the books, as well as what debt would be going on and what impact that would have on the water rate.
Yep.
So if that's okay with you, Counselor, would you take on that responsibility?
I've actually already started that conversation with the treasurer last week. It's one that I plan to continue, not just with water and wastewater, but in general.
Good, thank you.
She's
Thank you
been,
for your assistance in that matter.
Glad to help.
Does anyone else have any questions for Tom? Tom, thank you for being here tonight. I would like to schedule a meeting at the wastewater treatment plant for the capital improvements and city development committee members, as well as any other counselors and any other members of the public, to take a tour of the wastewater facility, all encompassing, to get a better understanding of what is in the capital improvement plan. Because we're not familiar with the terms like you are, and quite frankly, we don't understand how that plan works. So if we could schedule a Saturday, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to suggest, maybe in late March. We want to do it after the public hearing, correct? So after March 20th, which would be 21, 22, 23, the 24th of March, or the 31st of March, that would be well. So if you could reply to my email this week,
Yep.
I will set that up with the committee, and I will set it up with the councilors, and we'll post it as a public meeting, and we'll meet at the plant at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, late in March. Hopefully, we'll be able to move our schedule so we can accommodate the tour.
And I don't know how many of you plan on attending Saturday. I did extend an invitation if you want to come out and see the new cell and the new storage facility is this Saturday at 10 o'clock. I know you have another function going on in the afternoon.
This Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask, because I knew a tour was scheduled.
Yeah, that's going to be for the new cell and for the new storage facility.
That's at 10?
That's at, yeah.
10 o'clock on Pond Street North at the
Yeah.
new sludge landfill facility.
And I mean, if we're only doing the new facility and the sludge landfill, it's very short and sweet. It's not long, half hour, 45 minutes tops, if you ask questions. It's not very long.
Good. Yes, Council?
Oh, no, I was just playing.
Council Bricker.
Thank you. So I actually, I did respond to his email. I'm cooking for Soup for Heat, so I'm not able to attend. But I will be, Friday, 10 a.m. So if anyone has availability on Friday morning, I'm sure that you wouldn't mind having two of us.
yeah.
If we're going to do the tour, I think that's
You can say for one, I can say it for a bunch of people.
exactly. It might be an
Doesn't matter.
appropriate alternative time if Saturday doesn't work for you.
I guess you're doing it Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said,
I asked for
it's short
special
and sweet.
treatment. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
That was like my favorite tour, so I'm going to try to be in, so,
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for
So,
coming.
Councilor Cooper, my logic and your logic seem to be in conflict. I was thinking that if we had the wastewater department and the water department here on these two lone matters, which need to be referred to the planning board and for a public hearing, that we could cover the details tonight, and that while they were here, we could cover some of the details in the capital improvement plan, and ahead of the public hearing, perhaps to spark public interest in some of the matters to appear at the public hearing, of which in the last 10 years I've been a city councilor, nobody has appeared at the public hearing for the capital improvement plan. So you see my logic of to why we're discussing this tonight?
I do, and that's why I made the comment that sometimes logic and law don't line up,
Yeah.
right? But I think that we
Am I
have,
against the law in doing
I
this?
don't know, but I'm gonna ask the solicitor if we did
Okay.
anything wrong.
Because I don't think I am doing anything wrong.
Well, then I don't understand the purpose of a public hearing and voting the date.
Public hearing so that anyone who has any comments about what they heard tonight can come to the public hearing and express their concerns.
But aren't those concerns supposed to be expressed at the public hearing?
And they can come to the
No,
public.
I mean, the delivery to the council should be at the same time as the public hearing. That's the purpose of the public hearing, right? So that everybody hears it at once. If a counselor, when you made the comment of you're going to talk to him before the public hearing on CIP, totally appropriate, ma'am. That's a singular conversation. There's no committee involvement. There's not more than three, there's not more than two or more than six to violate open meeting. But I think that I don't remember ever sort of having this level of conversation on loan orders prior to a public hearing in the almost 10 that I've been here. We've done the discussion at the public hearing, and we've held them open for reasons that you express tonight.
Okay, so, committee members, I don't want to be in violation of any law, obviously. I've asked Courtney to be here. I'd like to invite Courtney to the podium. I'd like to take up the next motion for the public hearing and the loan order to go to the planning
So,
board.
point of order, sir, I'm going to excuse myself for that discussion because I don't want to participate in it, because I'm not clear on whether or not we're violating anything that we shouldn't. So, I want the record to reflect that I'm going to excuse myself for that conversation because I'm not going to participate in it. And I'm sorry for having to do that, but I don't know how to get around it any other way.
All right, then,
Can we just
Or you
vote
can
on the
recess your
public hearing?
comment. Or you can vote on the public hearing, which
Let's
is
just
totally
do that.
appropriate.
right. We're gonna
But
do
for
that.
any other discussion, I will be excusing myself.
We'll just do that.
Let's just vote on the public hearings
Just
and
vote on the
do
public
what we're
hearing,
supposed to do.
right. Let's just get that done. Okay. Thank you for coming, but we probably won't need you.
My recommendation, if I may, if we do have a committee meeting scheduled prior to the full council next week. So if President Cooper is going to consult the city solicitor with regards to this, and you would not be in violation, you could always invite her back and schedule a 15-minute discussion about that prior to next week's full council, if you wanted to do that. So again, Courtney, the road between Courtney's house and this building is getting worn out. However, if that is something that, if that's something that you would be willing to do, like that, you can always leave that open as a possibility because there's plenty of time to post for that.
We will
if you
do that.
want.
We'll be in communication.
One further comment. I appreciate that Courtney's here tonight for one reason, because I did get something in the mail. The mayor sent her a text while we were meeting saying, "Did you receive this?" It shouldn't have come to me. It was clearly addressed to her. I wrote some notes on it. I'm going to give it to her. So for me, it worked out that she's here tonight, not for the purpose you invited her, but
Okay.
self-serving, it worked. So thank you for your flexibility.
So let's get through our final and last motion for the evening. That from the docket of March 5th, 2019, I entertain a motion to refer to the following matter: loan order for $2,700,000 for the permitting, bidding, construction, oversight, and construction costs associated with the replacement of approximately 8,800 linear feet of water mains, including road restoration on Reed Street, Attleboro, Massachusetts, to the planning board for study and recommendation to hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 19, 2019.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman.
Did we vote on the first one for the public hearing? I feel like I seconded, but we didn't vote.
Yes, we passed unanimously. I wrote it down.
We
Yep,
voted.
we did it.
I thought you voted.
Yeah,
You
you
did it.
voted.
Oh, okay.
So this matter is for the water department, 8,800 linear feet, $2,700,000. And I'm afraid to say anything about it.
Okay, so
So all in
Second-
favor in
second
referring
by
it?
Ty.
Second by Waterman.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And that, I have one more motion. I apologize. From the docket of March 5th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to grant permission to expand the use of the funds in Fund 3546 Library Project to a space needs analysis.
second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So, I was at a municipal building commission meeting when the library estimate of $8 million in improvements came, and several members of the building commission questioned whether or not such an expense on such an old building with its current use was in order. And these are experienced construction people asking the question, and I thought there was a great amount of intelligence behind the question. To which the chairman, Jack Jacoby, said, let me have a conversation with the mayor and see which way the wind is blowing. And discussions occurred between the Board of Library Trustees and the mayor and the Building Commission, and it was decided that it was worth a look to see what does the library need to do its mission, and is that building the best building for it to do its mission in? I think that's about as succinct as I can put it. So don't get afraid about what's going to happen to the library. Right now, nothing's going to happen to the library. It's a matter of discussion and discovery to figure out what is the best thing to happen to the library. And this is permission for the mayor to expend some funds to get some professional people involved in the analysis. And I think it's a good idea. The building commission thinks it's a good idea. So there's a lot of power behind the motion, in my opinion, and I would encourage its passage, and that concludes my comments. Councilor Perico.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. I've had some discussion with some individuals from the Municipal Building Commission about this, and I think that, and I spoke with Deb Gould with regards to it, that where we did approve that $125,000, there is extra funding available to be able to do this. So it's kind of it's no additional capital outlay for us to have a really, hopefully, a very good, succinct report on what the needs are for either the repairs to this library or to craft and create a new building altogether. I thought that in the backup documentation, I like the sentence where it says, Your administration would like to amend the current agreement with the respondent to the original request for a proposal to undertake a space needs analysis of the existing library to determine if funding the cost of the exterior repairs is warranted given the state of the interior library conditions and layout. So I think we all, when the presentation was made and it was a little over $8 million, we all were like, took a deep breath and took a step back, and we recognize how important the library is to our community and how the services that they provide, and perhaps maybe the outcome of this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the outcome of this is that we might have a better functioning, better building to provide the services that the library provides to the city of Attleboro. So I couldn't be more in support of expending this money in this particular manner. And the Municipal Building Commission does have a meeting tomorrow night too, and I just want to remind you of that. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. I meant to get the interior and exterior into my comments, but I was being careful about what I said. Council Delcio.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is the right move. I think where it's money that we've already voted on that can be expended, we've all had questions about what the status is, what do we need, what's the nice to have. A library in any community is a cornerstone, especially this library and what it means to this community. But as I also stated when that presentation was made and we were talking about the 8.25, we've kind of been kicking that tomato can down the road. And, you know, any tools we can put in our toolbox to help us make the best decision for future use of that building, whether it's as a library or something else, I think this is that opportunity where we can get those questions answered.
Any other comments? Motion's in order. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed unanimously. That concludes the business that the capital improvements and city development has to bring before the council this evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion. Thank you, Council Waterman. Motion's in order. All in favor?
Aye.
Declare the Capital Improvement City Development Committee adjourned at 7:52. Thank you for your cooperation.
So I would ask,
Sorry.
what do I need to do to bring us back to the business of the Personnel and Human Services?
Call your committee back to order.
That's it. You don't have to vote on the recess.
Call it back.
Okay, well, I call the Committee on Personnel and Human Services back to order. And we have two items, two motions that I need to make. I have talked to all the people, except for one that I couldn't locate, that I'm going to mention now, who are already serving on boards. And this is simply to take on another term, to be reappointed. They're not here tonight. They did not need to come, in my opinion. So I entertain a motion to confirm the following reappointments to positions and for terms as indicated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So I shall just read the names.
Point of order, before you can have a second, you have to read the names, the appointment, the term, and the expiration date.
All right. Kathleen Park, Attleboro Housing Authority, for 5 years, February 2024. Tony Viveros, Board of Park Commissioners, 5 years, February 2024. Terrence McCrossan, Constable, 1 year, February 2020. Tony Viveros, Constable, 1 year, February 2020. Cynthia Van Voris, Council on Disabilities, 3 years, February 2022. Rosa Lopes, Cultural Council, 3 years, February 2022. Daryl Velez, Cultural Council, 3 years, February 2022. And Tony Viveros, Licensing Board, 6 years, February 2025. Do I have a second again?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. The vote passes. And now I have another motion. I entertain a motion to confirm the appointment of the following reappointments to positions and for terms as indicated. Victor Bonneville, the Board of Library Trustees for 3 years, February 2022. Diane Mangiarotti, Board of Library Trustees, 3 years, February 2022. May Gowan, Board of Police Commissioners, 3 years, February 2022. Dermot Larkin, Board of Recreation Commissioners, 3 years, February 2022. Bruce Ziegler, Board of Recreation Commissioners, 3 years, February 2022. Charles Oliver, Board of Trust Fund Commissioners, 3 years, February 2022. Melissa Riley, Conservation Commission, 3 years, February 2022. Kathy
Garapi.
Pardon me.
Sorry.
It's okay. Conservation Commission, 3 years, February 2022. Ian Daly, Constable, 1 year, February 2020. Joseph Froci. Council on Aging, 4 years, February 2023. David Larson, Council on Aging, 4 years, February 2023. It's a long list. Kevin Lacoste, Council on Disabilities, 3 years, February 2022. Wendy Foster, Council on Human Rights, 3 years, February 2022. Lori Sawyer, Council on Human Rights, 3 years, February 2022. Jeffrey Bratberg, Council on Substance Abuse Prevention, 3 years, February 2022. Sean Quigley, Cultural Council, 3 years, February 2022. Edward Perica, Municipal Building Commission, 3 years, February 2022. Paul Denisi, Personnel Board, 3 years, February 2022. Benton Keene, Redevelopment Authority, 5 years, February 2024. Richard Oliver, Solid Waste Advisory Committee, 3 years, February 2022. Walter Rares, Traffic
I
Study.
have a hard time with that one.
Thank you. Traffic Study Commission, 3 years, February 2022. And Joseph Caponegro, Traffic Study Commission, 3 years, February 2022. Phil Audette, Veterans Grave Officer, 1 year, February 2020. And finally, Catherine Rottenstrack, hopefully, Zoning Board of Appeals Associate, 2 years, February 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
If I may, just when, I am not a voting member of your committee, but for next week's, for the motions for next week, if you would take Edward Perica out and have that voted separately so I can remove myself from chambers. I have to recuse myself from voting on him.
So I would bring that up next week. Let us not talk, we won't vote on Edward.
No, you can vote him, no, you can 100% vote him out tonight because I'm not a voting member of your committee, so you can certainly do
So
that.
for next week, we
For
won't.
next week,
All right.
where the full council
Understood.
will be here and I get to vote, I would like to be able to vote on everybody else, I just can't vote on him because it's not necessarily a conflict, but it's better safe than sorry.
Okay, so we have a second.
Just a quick comment, if I may, thank you. There's a lot of names on here that we've seen time and time again who brought a lot of experience, a lot of their time away from their families to volunteer, and that's on both of these lists, as well as what the folks earlier in your committee that you brought up are going to experience. Personally, I just want to thank them for their time, for their expertise and their commitment to the city, because these are all volunteer boards. And we've talked a million times about what makes Attleboro Attleboro.
That's
a big
right.
part of it is our volunteers who serve on such important boards, whether it's the Rec Commissioners, Council on Aging, Traffic Study Commission. I think these are all very important to the progress that we've seen over the last several decades. So personally, I just want to say thank you.
And I tried to express that to every single person I could reach. One I couldn't.
I'm sure you did.
And it amazes me, all the boards and commissions and how many people are active in the city. It's a real testament to the love of the city.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Please.
It's just to add to Mr. Delicio's comments, when you do look at these names, the institutional knowledge that comes along with a lot of the appointments to the boards and commissions, they have been on, personally with Traffic Study, Joe Caponegro's been there since 2007. He's come through at different administrations and different, different liaisons to the council, such as myself, and their ability to remember something that happened 10 years ago, or why we made this change, or why this particular thing was done in the city, has such a huge value, and that can never be overstated how important that is to the boards and commissions as well. I love having new blood because sometimes you need some of that to pump through, but I think having a healthy balance between long-standing members, and they should never, ever feel less than appreciated at any given time for the time that they have given to the city. So thank you.
And he's one gentleman that does feel appreciated right now. So,
I have a comment along with that, Heather. An older person or a person that's been around a long time leaves, the library door closes. It was said to me today, and it's true, that there is no substitute for institutional knowledge. And when one of our board members resigns after a long period of time, or in the case of Keith Hutchins passes away, that door is closed. You can't reach in and grab that information anymore. So these people that volunteer over a tremendous length of time. Alan Semple was another example on the building commission. When they go, we lose an awful lot of resource.
Agreed.
so are we ready for a vote? All those in favor, say aye. Aye?
You said aye.
Oh, I didn't hear, sorry.
Motion passed.
Motion passes. Okay. So, that concludes the business.
Can we call for an adjournment? Oh, go ahead.
I could have missed it, but there was one more motion that...
Yes, let me mention that briefly. We had a motion to confirm appointment of Donald Smith. He is not
I
able
was
to...
talking about that one.
I'll mention that as well. There were two things. Donald Smith will be here next week, and I would hope that the committee could come at 6:30 to see him. Is that possible?
Call a committee meeting.
That's what I would like to do.
Well,
We know Don very well. Are we just reintroducing him? We could still do it tonight, call his name tonight, and then have him.
Well, he was hoping to meet with us.
call
Ty,
it
if
for
I
quarter or
can give you
seven.
a little
Please.
hand, if you don't mind.
Please.
So, last week when his name came down and we have different people that are coming and going, Virginia did post a meeting for 6:30 for next week to have Don in. You can, for the individual that Todd just identified, you can certainly vote that motion out, and that individual can come in at a different time. You don't have to hold that back. I'm sure it would be just fine.
We can give him
And you could also do the same either tonight or on Tuesday, because that's what's more convenient for, he can just read the motion for Mr. Smith then, and then vote it out of committee, and then vote it in front of the full council that night.
Sure.
So if you want to take up the individual that Todd just identified, and just leave Don for next Tuesday at 6:30.
Next
I think
Tuesday at
that's the best.
6:30 is what I would hope
Yep.
to do. So, I entertain a motion to confirm the appointment of Rachel Legend, Fuller Hospital, 200 May Street, to fill an expired term as a community organization on the Council on Substance Abuse Prevention, term to expire February 2020.
Second.
Thank you. I did speak with Rachel. I thought she was attending tonight. I hope she's well. But I think we could hold a vote up anyways, in her absence. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The vote passes. Thank you.
Now you can call for another.
Right. So now I call, let's see, I would ask for an adjournment at 8:04 PM. And that, we need to have a vote on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that concludes the business of the Personnel and Human Services Committee. I'll call the next committee meeting 6:30, Tuesday, March 5th.
All right, Curtis.
next is Public Works, or I can.
Well, I can do Public Works, or I can do both.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. You can go, because it's past the time. So.
All right, let's get started on zoning and land use. So I call the Committee for Zoning and Land Use to order at 8:05. 1 second to get my stuff together here. So we have a number of motions here. So call to order at 8:05. The first thing I'm going to do is pass around a little cheat sheet to everybody. Pass those over. So before we get started, we have 5 different special permits to discuss and vote on tonight. I'll be opening things up to the entire council for discussion because next week I'll be out of town on business, so the more we can talk about it tonight, the better. And I would appreciate questions and comments tonight. Obviously, you guys can still talk about it next week, but I encourage the whole council to ask questions tonight. So with that said, let's get started. From the docket of November 20th, 2018, the following votes pertain to Leonard J. Irving Center Incorporated, request for a special permit. This is number 1, to operate a marijuana business, marijuana treatment center at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 1 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use is allowed under section 17-3.4, table of use regulations, community facilities 11C, as a special permitted use in the district for which the application is made.
Second.
All right. So on this sheet here that was handed out, number 1 shows 70 Frank, or there's 2 different sites, 70 and 76 Frank Mossberg Drive. The item we're talking about right now is identified as number 1 there, and this is the Leonard J. Irving Center. And when talk about Leonard J. Irving is mentioned, we're talking about medical marijuana. When any of the 3 Ashleys Inc., any of the Ashleys entities are named, we're talking about adult use marijuana. So you'll notice there's 2 entities at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. Those are for the retail aspects of the business. And then the 3 entities at 76 Frank Mossberg are for the manufacturing and cultivation entities. Does that all make sense? Mm-hmm. Additionally, on this sheet in the upper corner is a quick satellite image. You can see that the facility at 70 Frank Mossberg, there's an existing building there. The plan is to tear down the building, leave the foundation, and then rebuild. And then at 76 Frank Mossberg, there aren't any existing structures there. So that's a rough overview. Also on the right of the sheet are the specific standards that we've all seen a bunch of times. So let's get started with this. Now, everybody's received a copy of the report for the planning department that breaks everything down. Additionally, and there were a couple comments in here in different things that were addressed with the follow-on memo from the entities, and that's generally it. So for this first standard, and we're talking about 70 Frank Mossberg Drive, this is case number 006. Bring this up forward. And once we have this discussion on the first one, the additional motions will be a little bit faster. So the following is an overview of the site's existing characteristics. For 70 Frank Mossberg, the subject site contains a landmass of 1.14 acres. The real estate to the north, east, and south is zoned industrial. And this specific item is talking about whether it's zoned industrial. The one thing I wanted to mention is that, it's at the beginning of this. There were a couple of variances that were requested and were all granted and are all in place. The one that's of note is the distance to a residential property. But you'll remember during the public hearings that there's the gas pipeline there. So the actual distance to anything that could be buildable is greater than 100 feet, so we're fine there. So with that said, are there any other questions or comments on this first standard one?
It's really not even a question as much as it is a comment. I think that Attorney Jacoby's been, pretty on point with all the information that's been asked of him, whether from us, whether the Board of Appeals, whether from the Planning Department, and the same can be and should be said for Gary Rajan and the amount of work that him and his department have put in. I think at this point, this is, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth, and I appreciate the manner in which you've conducted it, as well as, the manner in which the parties conducted themselves to get to this point. I think this is, as you mentioned, this isn't our first rodeo with this at this point. I think we're getting pretty good. What I would say is I am looking for the day that it's not in front of the council anymore, which I think that we're a lot further ahead now in 2019 than we were in 2017 when that was first a discussion, topic of discussion. So
I couldn't agree more, and I think I brought it up last week about potentially moving forward with the motion that's to transfer the responsibilities to the planning.
And that was not a shot at you by any stretch of the imagination.
I think we're
Okay.
definitely ready, definitely. I have some comments as well.
Councilor Holmes.
I completely agree with Councilor Delissio. I think the public hearing, I feel like was open for months.
A decade.
So we've asked the questions that we needed to, and I think it was really, every time there was an email or a map, it was very thorough, and a lot of the questions were answered, all the questions were answered. So at this point, I think ready to get these 40 motions. That concludes my comment.
Just read them.
Perfect.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
No, that was not okay.
Take it back.
Any other comments on this first one? All right. Call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And that was Councilor Delissio. You seconded
Correct.
that one, right? Next one. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 2 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied, as the requested use will not cause undue traffic congestion or impair pedestrian safety.
Second.
So guidance from the planning department is that it will not impair, there won't be traffic congestion. It's in an industrial business park area. So I think we're good. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 3 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied, as the requested use will not overload any municipal systems to such an extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area or in any other area of the city will be unduly subjected to the hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare.
Second.
Guidance from the planning department, well, it was sent out to all the departments, and the water, wastewater came back and said that they don't see any concerns here. So they're the experts, in my opinion. Any other comments, concerns? Hearing none, we'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 4 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied, as the requested use will not have a severe undesirable effect on the neighborhood, public, and environment that would be lessened significantly by denying or modifying the requested permit.
Second.
It's in an industrial business park. We had the public hearing. I don't have any concerns.
So just during the committee, like, I would just like to, I've had a couple of constituents reach out to me with concerns about what, in the event that this particular guideline, or whatever you want to call it, is if it kind of goes astray as we're moving along here, will there be subsequent action that the city would be able to take? Like if there is a fragrance from a manufacturer, from a cultivation center or things like that. We've had experience with New Stream a few years ago where the health department gets involved and things like that. So I think that it would be helpful just as we move forward, not to add more to your plate, but to have those conversations with the health department, and in the event that something like that comes up, there's a plan in place to be able to address those.
There certainly is. It's certainly part of the ordinance to say that from the surrounding properties that they should not smell any sort of odor coming off of the manufacturing or cultivation process. So that's in the ordinance, and it would clearly be a violation if that wasn't the case. And the city could take action.
Great.
Any other comments? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 5 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as application pursuant to the provision of section 17-10 special regulations has been filed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Or any comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 6 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is not applicable to this application.
Second.
It's not applicable, it's not scientific research. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I move that the municipal council find that in accordance with section 17-10.15 marijuana business use of the zoning ordinance, that the use complies with the applicable provisions set forth herein and with the underlying district in which the land is located.
Second.
And the one concern with this one is we didn't hear back from the health department. When we have the special conditions put forward, we'll put in some requirements in there to say that we need final review from them before issuing a building permit. Or whatever the guidance is from Gary along those lines. But that was the one sort of item that was still outstanding. But
Sure.
I don't think there's any need to hold up this because of that. Any other comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And finally, for this one, I entertain a motion to approve the application for a special permit, item number 1, pursuant to section 17-10.15 marijuana business use of the revised zoning ordinance from the Leonard J. Irving Center Incorporated, 81 West Street, Attleboro, Mass. To operate a marijuana treatment center at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive, said premises being Assessor's Plat number 147, lot number 5F, with an area of 1.1434 acres, located in an industrial zoning district with conditions.
Second.
So this is just the final vote to wrap everything up. Any concerns, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to number 2. The following votes pertain to Ashley's Extract, Inc. Request for a special permit, item number 2, to operate a marijuana business, marijuana product manufacturer at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive.
Second.
Sorry, not yet. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 1 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use is allowed under section 17-3.4 table of use regulations, community facility 11C, as a special permitted use in the district for which the application is made.
Second.
All right. So we're moving on to 76 Frank Mossberg Drive. Again, it's a empty, there aren't any existing structures there. It's new construction. And with this one, we're talking about Ashley's Extracts, which is one of the 3 Ashley's entities, and those 3 entities are referring to adult use marijuana. So with regard to standard 1, any comments or concerns? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I'd say a motion that the municipal council find that standard 2 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as the requested use will not cause undue traffic congestion or impair pedestrian traffic.
Second.
Again, we're in an industrial park. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 3 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as the requested use will not overload any municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area or in any other area of the city will be unduly subjected to hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare.
Second.
Again, we heard back from water, wastewater. They didn't see any issues when they reviewed the plan, so I think we're okay. Any comments? Hearing none. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find the standard 4 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as the requested use will not have a severe undesirable effect on the neighborhood, public, and environment that would be lessened significantly by denying or modifying the requested permit.
Second.
Again, we had a public hearing. It's in an industrial zone. I think we're okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 5 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as application pursuant to the provisions of section 17-10 special regulations has been filed.
Second.
Again, it's been filed, it's been reviewed. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 6 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is not applicable to this application.
Second.
Again, it's not scientific research. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I move that the municipal council find that in accordance with section 17-10.15 marijuana business use of the zoning ordinance, that the use complies with the applicable provisions set forth herein and with the underlying district in which the land is located.
Second.
Again, it's all been reviewed. We will add special conditions for the review from the health department, but that's aside from that, I think we're pretty good. Any comments? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And finally, I entertain a motion to approve the application for a special permit pursuant to section 17-10.15 marijuana business use of the revised zoning ordinances from the Ashley's Extract Inc., 81 West Street, Attleboro, Mass. To operate a marijuana product manufacturer at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive, said premises being Assessor's Plat number 145, portion of lot number 1, with an area of 6.2842 acres located in an industrial zoning district with conditions.
Before I second, you said 6.2842.
And that is correct. It was
Okay, so Scribner's aye.
typo,
Okay,
yeah.
just want to make sure before I second it. That being said, second.
Thank you. This is just wrapping things up. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on, in this next one, there's also a couple things, so we'll read through them and
So I'll trust you on that.
the following votes pertain to Ashley's Inc. request for a special permit, item number 3, to operate a marijuana business, a marijuana retail sales facility at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 1 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as the requested use is allowed under section 17-3.4 table of use regulations, community facilities 11C, as a special permitted use in the district for which the application is made.
Second.
And so this one, we're talking about, this is item number 3 on here, and it's 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. Ashley's Inc. It's the retail portion for adult use marijuana. Any other general comments? All right, hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 2 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use will not cause undue traffic congestion or impair pedestrian safety.
Second.
Again, it's in an industrial area. The guidance from the planning department was that it shouldn't impair traffic at all. And they did talk about a 30-day plan and working with the police if there's undue traffic when it opens. It shouldn't be an issue, in my opinion. So, that said, any other comments or concerns? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'd say the motion that the municipal council find that standard 3 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use will not overload any municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area or in any other area of the city will be unduly subjected to hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare.
Second.
Same comments as before. Any other comments? In Councilor Conti, with these, one of the things I mentioned earlier on is that I'll be out of town next week, so I do want to open it up to the full council if there are any general questions. I encourage you to ask them. Obviously, you can ask them next week as well, but the more discussion we can have today, I think the better. So if there's anything specific
I'll make this comment since you're asking for my comments, is that this plan from this owner is the best thought out that we've had. We had the BWCC come in front of us. They thought they had everything figured out, and they wound up redesigning the whole building. This one here, I believe that they've done it right the first time, and I believe it's going to get built the way that it's being presented. So I'm very comfortable with this whole program. And as for the traffic issues that you briefly mentioned, it looks like we've already learned how to handle that. With pre-selling a lot of times when people can show up, and it's prevented this mass hysteria of choking the streets and the paranoia of what's going on in the vicinity. So I think we while it has taken forever to get to this point, I think it's worked out to our advantage, because I think this is I think a model plan. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. I've definitely been impressed with both organizations. So, any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 4 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use will not have a severe undesirable effect on the neighborhood, public, and environment that would be lessened significantly by denying or modifying the requested permit.
Second.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for consistently seconding so that it's easier for taking notes. Otherwise,
She kind of fell into a flow.
yes. So with this one, it's in an industrial area. Same comments as before. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'd say a motion that the municipal council find that standard 5 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as application pursuant to the provisions of section 17-10 special regulations has been filed.
Second.
Again, same comments as before. Any comments or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'd say a motion that the municipal council find that standard 6 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is not applicable to this application.
Second.
Again, it's not scientific research. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that in accordance with section 17-10.15 marijuana business use of the zoning ordinance, that the use complies with the applicable provisions set forth herein and with the underlying district in which the land is located.
Second.
It's in an industrial area. It's been reviewed. Any other comments or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And finally, for this one, I entertain a motion to approve the application for a special permit, item number 3, pursuant to section 17-10.15, marijuana business use of the revised zoning ordinance from the Ashley's Inc., 81 West Street, Attleboro, Mass., to operate a marijuana retail sales facility at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive, said premises being Assessor's Plat number 147, portion of lot number 5F, with an area of 1.1434 acres, located in an industrial zoning district with conditions.
Second.
Again, this is wrapping up Ashley's Inc. Any other comments or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on. The following votes pertain to Ashley's Farm, Inc., request for a special permit, item number 4, to operate a marijuana business, marijuana cultivator center at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 1 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as the requested use is allowed under section 17-3.4 table of use regulations, community facilities 11C as a special permitted use in the district for which the application is made.
Second.
All right, this is item number 4, Ashley's Farm. It is the cultivation portion of the adult use marijuana. It's located at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive in the new building to be built. Any questions, comments, concerns about this one? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 2 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as the requested use will not cause undue traffic congestion or impair pedestrian traffic.
Second.
Same comments as before. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 3 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as the requested use will not overload any municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area or in any other area of the city will be unduly subjected to hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare.
Second.
Any comments or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 4 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as the requested use will not have a severe undesirable effect on the neighborhood, public, and environment that would be lessened significantly by denying or modifying the requested permit.
Second.
Any comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 5 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is satisfied as application pursuant to the provisions of section 17-10 special regulations has been filed.
Second.
Any comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 6 of section 17-9.4A standards for granting permit is not applicable to this application.
Second.
Comments or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that in accordance with section 17-10.15 marijuana business use of the zoning ordinance, that the use complies with the applicable provisions set forth herein and with the underlying district in which the land is located.
Second.
Comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the application for a special permit, item number 4, pursuant to section 17-10.15 marijuana business use of the revised zoning ordinance from Ashley's Farm, Inc., 81 West Street, Attleboro, to operate a marijuana cultivator center at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive, said premises being Assessor's Plat number 145, portion of lot number 1 within area of 6.2842 acres, located in an industrial zoning district with conditions.
Second.
And this wraps up Ashley's Farm. Any additional comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And the last one. Councilor DeLista, do you want to read one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that okay to, that's okay, right? Yeah, okay.
From the docket of November 20th, 2018, the following votes pertain to the Leonard J. Irving Center Incorporated, request for special permit number 5 to operate a marijuana business, medical marijuana treatment center, 76 Frank Mossberg Drive. I entertain a motion that the municipal council finds that standard 1 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use is allowed under section 17-3.4 table use regulations, community facilities 11C, as special permitted use in the district for which the application is made.
Second? And if I could make some, so this last one is for the Leonard J. Irving Center, the second special permit request, and this is for the cultivation and manufacturing portions that are located at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive. So it's item number 5 on the map. Again, it's a new building to be constructed on that empty lot. Any other comments? Do I call for the vote? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 2 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use will not cause undue traffic congestion or impair pedestrian safety.
Second. Can I second that? Or,
Second.
do you mind?
Yes,
Thank you.
second.
Again, same comments as before. Any additional comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 3 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use will not overload any municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or any development use in the immediate area or any other area of the city will be unduly subjected to hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare.
Second.
All right. And with this one, again, we could put the special conditions for review from the health department. So with that said, any other comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 4 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as the requested use will not have a severe undesirable effect on the neighborhood, public, and environment that would be lessened significantly by denying or modifying the requested permit.
Second.
All right. We had the public hearing. It's in an industrial zone. Same comments as before. Any other comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 5 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is satisfied as application pursuant to provisions of section 17-10 special regulations has been filed.
Second.
Excellent. Same comments as before. Any concerns, questions? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that standard 6 of section 17-9.4A, standards for granting permit, is not applicable to this application.
Second.
Again, not scientific research. Any additional comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I entertain a motion that the municipal council find that in accordance with section 17-10.15, marijuana business use of the zoning ordinance, that the use complies with the applicable provisions set forth herein and with underlying district in which the land is located.
Second.
Again, it's all been reviewed by the planning department. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I entertain a motion to approve the,
I'm sorry, did you vote, Counselor Holmes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, just didn't hear it.
I entertain a motion to approve the application for a special permit number 5 pursuant to section 17-10.15 marijuana business use of the revised zoning ordinance from the Leonard J. Irving Center, Inc. of 81 West Street, Attleboro, to operate a medical marijuana treatment center at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive, said premises being assessed as plat number 145, portion of lot number 1 with an area of 6.2842 acres located in industrial zoning district with conditions.
All right, and this one wraps up the Leonard J. Irving Center. Again, the medical marijuana portion for cultivation and manufacturing. Any additional comments or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, and we're done.
Nice work, sir.
Does anyone else have anything to comment on for zoning and land use before we? All right, I call to adjourn the committee at 8:40.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And you are adjourned.
Well done, Mr. Coolis.
Nice work, sir.
Thank you.
Could you ask Ms. Dolan to come out? Oh, here she comes. Hello, Zoe. I'm up for Public Works, so we're doing Public Works. So I call the committee meeting for Public Works to order at 8:40. Councilor Dolan and myself are on the committee, so President Cooper will be the third. From the docket of March 5th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $10,530 from account 10003590000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 165010000-524230 park and forestry vehicle maintenance relative to the need for funds to replace the dump body on the Park and Forestry Department's 2003 Ford F-450 dump truck.
Second.
Thank you. Wait, I gotta write. So in our communication, and I did actually speak, I didn't, obviously none of us knew that Councilor Jackson wasn't going to be here tonight, but I did have a meeting with Derek Corsi a couple weeks back, and he did mention this to me during that time, that the dump body is rotted beyond repair and can no longer haul or dump materials. The chassis and mechanical aspects of the vehicle are still in very good condition. The truck itself only has 61,000 miles on it and has recently had major mechanical repairs completed and has a solid rust-free frame. After bringing it to multiple mechanics, there was a consensus that the truck would be worth repairing. So this will extend the life on this particular vehicle for quite a bit of time, and if the body on it's not working, they can't haul or do anything with it, so we might as well. And if we've already expended, substantial money to have it repaired, that the engine's working fine and all of those kinds of things, then it would be an appropriate expense. So I hope you support it.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Just
Go ahead.
thank you, Heather, because I did have some concerns, and being in that field, usually when the body goes to frame and the undercarriage is right along with it, but I have her assurance that that isn't the case with this vehicle. I see no reason to repair it. It is a lot of money to put into a vehicle at age, but if it has the conditions that's stated, worth the money.
From what I understand, I did have the opportunity to speak to other individuals with regards to this, and they confirm that as well, that it's worth the investment in
Low miles, too.
It's low miles. And, again, with the other repairs that have been made to it,
Right.
keeping this going for as long as we can, it's worth the investment. So, Mr. Delicio.
It's more of a comment than a question. I'm just concerned looking at it, the source being free cash. Usually it comes from reserve fund for transfer, these sort of things, in my experience. And I'm meeting with the treasurer and the auditor this week anyway, but I'll follow up on that. It's a little bit of a concern of mine is when we start to make these purchases coming out of free cash. I do support it. I mean, this needs to get done. And as I said, it's more of a statement just of concern that we want to be careful when we're looking at almost $24,000 coming out of free cash. So it's just something I want to be looking at a little closer.
I don't disagree with that. I did make the request last week when I was acting president. I made the request to have a spreadsheet of what's available, free cash, city water, wastewater. So I did receive that. I'm not sure if everyone received that, but I can make sure that that gets forwarded to everybody.
And the second follow-up is, through the chair to Councilor Conti. Do you know, is this on the capital improvement, this vehicle?
Which vehicle is that?
This is the 2003 Ford 450 dump truck for Park and Forestry?
I haven't received the Park and Forestry CIP yet,
Okay.
so I don't know.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot like that, Rick.
Any additional comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So I think this next one will be kind of an interesting discussion. I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $13,500 from account 100035900 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 112410000-524011 citywide maintenance of buildings relative to the repair for the roof on the secondary storage garage at Highland Country Club.
Second.
Thank you. So again, I'll reference back. This is also additionally, I had a conversation with Mr. Corsi a couple weeks ago about this. Let's see. So currently the roof on the secondary storage garage, so that would be the garage, if you pull into Highland Country Club, it is the furthest building all the way in the back before you would get to the very flat part of Highland Country Club, the putting green or whatever it was back there. Currently, the roof on a secondary storage garage is in a major disrepair. The plywood is rotting in certain areas, and there are missing shingles throughout the roof. In order to store equipment in a safe manner and preserve the integrity of the building, the roof needs to be replaced. They did receive a quote from Rivet Roofing to strip the existing roof, reinstall new plywood, install the proper ice and water shield, strip edge, and the 30-pound felt to the structure. Once completed, they will reshingle the garage with 30-year architectural asphalt shingles. They were associated with Rivet Roofing is a Massachusetts state bid list contractor, and the quote on that particular job was $13,500. So when we were having discussions about the purchase of Highland Country Club, hold on 1 second, let me make my comments first, and then I'm happy to hear what you have to say. We did discuss extensively that there will be extenuating costs associated with the care, keep, and maintenance of Highland Country Club. This is the first one to come along. There have been small improvements made, whether it's putting new locks on the doors or changing different things out over in some of the buildings at that location that were absorbed through the Park and Forestry budget. This, of course, is kind of outside that scope. I would have the expectation that there would be more appropriations coming down at different times to make the necessary safety repairs. I'm not sure. I know that President Cooper and I had a tour of Highland Country Club shortly after we acquired it, and if I showed you the pictures, you'd be horrified. Anything, there are video cameras that need to be installed. There's all sorts of different things that I really am not, I shouldn't actually have public discussion with regards to. But I would have the expectation you'll see more of these at different times. I would like it to see potentially have Highland Park, as it's now referred to, be associated or assigned to a particular department head. So if there are cares, problems, concerns, we could go directly to that particular department head, and we would know who's actually in charge of it. I think it would be helpful to do that, have that designation. And for now, that will conclude my comments. Councilor Conti, then President Cooper.
Poor Parks and Forestry. When I was growing up, there was a cartoon character in every comic strip. There was a perpetual cloud over and it was raining on the character. I don't remember who the character was, but that's our Parks and Forestry Department. No matter where we put them, they're getting drenched in the building that they're in.
Correct.
When you buy a property at a foreclosure, you're buying it stripped and in as-is condition. No one should be shocked that the former owners of the property let it go. They were in economic dire straits for, 20 years. And they were intentionally deferring the maintenance. So I'm not surprised to hear this at all. When I first read it, I thought, what a great place for a metal roof. And I fully support the measure, and that concludes my comments.
Great. President Cooper?
Thank you. I also am in support, and I couldn't be happier that Parks and Forestry will get some additional space over there and will likely delay our need for additional build-out of a building for them. I have talked to the mayor about other things that need to happen at Highland Country Club. They've done things like the alarm and the phones and things that to secure the building, but there are some other short-term and long-term needs to preserve the integrity of the building. So I fully anticipate that, but I couldn't be happier to spend the $13,500 to maintain that, get it where it needs to be, get them moved over there, give people some elbow room and get the equipment inside that needs to be inside, that's either outside or in a leaky or flooded building now. So it is an expense that we thought would be coming, but that wasn't crystal clear at the time. And again, I'm happy to see some movement and momentum in them getting over into that building. So I'm glad that it's going to be done. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm in agreement with everyone who spoke on this. What I would say to add to Vice President Preika's point is I would like to see it under department head so we can then start to budget for it, so we can then start to plan for some of these expenses that are surely going to be coming down. And again, I would caution that as we're doing that with everything else that we have coming down over the next couple of years, that, if we're able to budget for it, if we're able to put things in the capital improvement plan, I think it would allow us to better plan for where this is coming from, so it's not going to come out of free cash. And I'm not just trying to beat this dead horse, but, when we think about what our credit rating is and what are some of the factors that will affect that, we need to maintain healthy levels of free cash. And I think that having an avenue where we can budget and plan for these expenses would certainly help us long term.
Agreed, thank you. Councilor Holmes?
Thank you. Through the chair, will this be included in the capital improvement? Will Highland be included in?
This is not introduced to us as an emergency measure, correct?
Correct.
So,
But I just mean that booklet that we get every year, that February.
it's probably going to be done by the time that book gets delivered in April.
But I mean, will Highland be in that book in terms of priority, in terms of?
That's an interesting question, because to Councilor Delicio's comments, there's going to be many departments that have their fingers in that land. and they're all their responsibilities are going to be diversified. For example, some of them may not be improvements at all, but rather just the maintenance of the land. So I have not seen anything yet, because I've just started getting the reports in from the department heads on the capital improvement plan. And it may not be in 2020, it may not really gel until 2021. So I wouldn't expect to see it, I guess is my answer. And that concludes my comments.
I think that's a fantastic question. Similar to Capron Park Zoo, when I had a conversation earlier with the city auditor with regards to Highland Country Club and this particular expense, it is challenging to budget for it because it's not under a particular department. Like Capron Park Zoo is under the parks, the park superintendent. So in the budget, it highlights where that goes. We don't have that determination right now, and I think it's something that it can potentially continue to be problematic if we don't get that particular designation. Councilor Kovas.
I was going to help you.
And my
but
brain
I said no.
is just running like a hamster wheel there, so my apologies.
First and foremost, I agree with you guys about, it makes sense to move this under a specific department. It's the sooner that can happen, the better. I think that's a great point that you guys bring up. The only question I wanted to ask is that it doesn't look like there's a contingency here. And if that's the case, we should probably figure out if we should add one or not. So
Okay.
that was my only comment.
Councilor Dolan?
Would something, just kind of to parlay off his comment, would something like a roof really need a contingency? I mean, they're really basically doing the whole entire thing, so I would think that they would know what they're getting into. Again,
Sure. So what I'm happy to do between this week, I would like to be able to vote it out. It's important, especially with the weather, and then no one knows if it's going to be a super rainy spring or anything like that. I'd prefer to get this kind of off and running so we can vote it out next week. I'm more than happy to, in Kate's absence, have a conversation with Mr. Corsi and see if I can get the quote from him and present that next week. I wouldn't want to hold it up. Mr. Blair?
It is a prime example of the truck you just brought out, the bed had rotted out, and that's mainly because it wasn't covered.
Right.
But it wasn't garaged over the years. The water collects in those things, and I can see why it rust out. But I also think that if the park department's going to use that, then that definitely should be put under the park department's oversight. And if I remember correctly, and I belonged to Highland for a long time, that garage was in deplorable condition when we toured it. So this isn't going to be the only thing that's going to come down about those garages there.
Sure. How do I want to start this? So it is my understanding that as of today, so I think it's important to highlight the fact that Park Department and Forestry are two separate and distinct departments who were smushed together when we built the new DPW building. So I think that's important for some of our new counselors that may not know that, and for some of the more seasoned counselors to remember that. They've been together so long, we refer to them as Park and Forestry, but they are two separate and distinct. The building that they are in, we've all been in the shed. They call it the shed up there. It's a hot mess. It's, it floods all the time. And we have a $106,000 roadside mower sitting outside rusting every single day. So I believe that the effort has been made to move the park department from the shed over to Highland Country Club. They can store their mowers, their trailers, their trucks, and different things in that location. The area where the staff would be staying, they have taken the time to go in, clean it out, paint it up, and make it an appropriate location for them. It's also nice, they won't have to sit next to lime or fertilizers or things like that while they're having their lunch, so that's a good thing as well. I think it's a little aggressive to think that we would be able to store any and all pieces of equipment over in that location. The buildings are small in stature. It was a country club. It wasn't, we're certainly not putting, as it stands right now in the shed, they can put the big tree truck, I don't know what you call the big one, but the big giant one that can fit in there, but then all the other equipment has to be on the outside. So I think splitting these two departments has multi-levels of benefits, and I think it's beneficial to the care and keeping of the equipment that is at that location. That has been something that I know that President Cooper has been asking the administration to kind of manage for months and months and months, and we're finally taking action on that. The roof at this particular garage, like I said, when you're pulling in, you drive past what used to be the gift shop, or pro shop, excuse me, not a golfer. So it would be a gift to me. So you pull in the pro shop. I know that the Attleboro Public Schools have utilized a certain area there. That the main building is under the purview of the building inspector right now. Parts of it are managed by Park. So because there's all of these different department heads, there needs to be a streamlined process to add to the budget book for any of the costs that are associated with Highland Country Club. And here now, that is being communicated to the administration. I don't need to follow it up with an email for him. This is the communication that you're getting with regards to Highland Country Club. I think that the changing of, fixing this roof and having the expectation that there will be other expenses as we go down the line for this, not necessarily with the implementation of whatever the plan is for Highland Country Club, but just in general to ensure and maintain the integrity, the structural integrity that's there right now. I don't have anything else to add. I fully support the fixing of the roof. Anybody else? Ooh. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. And I will make sure that I contact Mr. Corsi and get that quote so that we can have the contingency question answered. I'll make sure that gets scanned and sent to you because you won't be here next week. Okay? Thank you very much. Now, I call for an adjournment, and there's no other business for Public Works. I call for an adjournment at 8:59. All those in favor? Aye. And we are adjourned at 8:59. And just very briefly, so I call to order the Transportation and Traffic Committee at 8:59. Myself, Councilor Conti, and Councilor Reynolds are on this committee. I have a couple of different things. I don't have any motions to take care of this evening. I do have, as we're all aware, the Beagle Club Road public hearing is still open because I'm waiting on correspondence, pardon me, from now just from the police department and the fire department. I do have the recommendation from the Traffic Study Commission, which I'm happy to read into the record if you would mind sending those that way.
Is this on May Street?
No, Beagle Club Road. I'll just grab it at the end. Thanks. So, after extensive discussion on the days that we were able to have a quorum, we finally, or actually, I'm an ex officio member. I don't have a vote on the Traffic Study Commission. I'm pretty much just the liaison to the Municipal Council. Through extensive discussion of the Traffic Study Commission, the following was sent. Councilor Parika, per your request, for a recommendation regarding Beagle Club Road on Thursday, February 7th, 2019, the Traffic Study Commission issued the following. Parking restrictions on Beagle Club Road. The traffic study recommends that the existing ordinance, section 10-5.15, seasonally prohibit on certain streets, adopted on 2/6/18, be maintained because, in our opinion, it adequately addresses the initial traffic-related concerns brought before us. Furthermore, it is our opinion that the recent proposal to amend section 10-5.2A, prohibited on certain streets, amended, and I'm going to bypass that, is a legislative matter. And that was referred to us by Walt Warris, who is the secretary for the Traffic Study Commission. So I'll give you a little bit of background with regards to how they came to this ruling. They were incredibly thorough in evaluating the piece of legislation that was submitted to them for review and recommendation. They strongly felt that that is a policy issue as opposed to a traffic issue. Currently, the way the feedback from the Attleboro Police Department and the feedback from the residents in that location, we are currently in that you can park. We have what's currently in place is the seasonal parking restriction. There's no parking from June 1st to the day after Labor Day. Other than that, in the parking spaces that are available on the street, you're allowed. You can park. We're in that period of time right now. They feel that that has adequately managed the nuisance as well as any of the traffic issues that are in that location, and they feel that it would be, I don't want to use the word inappropriate, but it is a policy issue, and they don't weigh in on policy. They weigh in on traffic and transportation issues. So that was. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there anything holding up the parking lot?
I would have to say so. So yes, what's holding up the parking lot is that there was an agreement. So. And President Cooper, I know that you had a discussion with the mayor with regards to this tonight, so if I'm incorrect in any of my statements, I would appreciate if you'd hop in. It's a package deal. The restriction, the piece of legislation that the administration submitted with parking passes and all that entails, when in discussions with the residents of the neighborhood, they were interested and wanted the installation of a parking lot at that location, provided that there were parking restrictions on the road. They would remove the seasonal where people can park regularly now, and that there would be an installation of a parking lot, but then the parking on the street would very much be restricted just to the residents. I'm sure that you've read the piece of legislation that the administration has sent down, where they would have to apply for parking permits, and they would get one, 24-hour one. They would have to pay for that, and the residents would have a yearly one issued to them. And there's a variety of ways. The response, the truth of the matter is the response that I'm getting is that the practical application of that and the enforcement and our availability to be able to do that is limited, and so most of the boards and commissions, well, the Traffic Study Commission is like, that's for you guys to legislate. So I don't necessarily have a problem, I don't have a problem installing a parking lot down there. However, that was predicated on the additional restrictions on the road. Would that be accurate, Mr. Cooper?
I think that's fair, yeah.
So I agree with the traffic study's recommendation to the council, and I think it's well thought out, and it's reasonable and well received. because it is our jurisdiction. And I'm frustrated that we haven't made more progress on that parking lot, because I thought that this spring construction should begin. And it sounds like that's not going to be the case.
Well, we were having some difficulty maintaining a quorum we would have a month on, a month off, or we would have, someone would have to leave mid-meeting. So our ability to maintain a quorum has been challenging. I've been asking the administration for appointments to that since his inauguration. We did have Paulo Salguero come on. I find him energetic and very, very thoughtful. So he's a welcome addition. I know that there's still 2 additional spots available, but sometimes, so Mike Tyler, he's a voting member, but there are times where he gets called away for other city business, and we're not actually able to we feel kind of rushed to be able to complete the task at hand. And this particular piece of business it's a big elephant to take all the small bites out of. So I have left the public hearing open because I think that people are hesitant. Beagle Club Road has been a hot button issue forever, most specifically for the last 4 years. And I think that people are slightly hesitant to weigh in on it even when they're asked to do so. It is my hope that I will get a response from the police department and from the fire department shortly. I did get a response from conservation, where the only request is that so there is a specific layout for the parking lot. If we want to augment or change that particular layout, we need to refer back to him with regards to that, because it's literally within inches of being legal. So it is my hope to be able to close the public hearing next week. I would like to be able to do that.
That's progress.
That is progress. And then it's up to this committee to slog through the piece of legislation and understand that our recommendation could be to leave it exactly the way it is and install the parking lot, because whatever negotiated factor that took place, on Beagle Club Road with the residents there, we did not make that agreement, and we need to legislate it appropriately and fairly and legally.
So if I can, I'll tell you how I feel about this, is that we should try to make some progress forward. So, because what we do, we can undo. We can always change what we do. But I think we're all in agreement that the parking lot should be built. So I think, in my mind, I'm willing to make whatever concessions are necessary to get the parking lot built. And so if that means no parking at all on the street whatsoever, or just for residents only, I'm okay with that. Build the parking lot. Because building the parking lot gives the public the access to the public land. And that's really the spirit and intent of the public road.
Sure.
So these people are living on a public road maintained by the city's taxpayers' dollars, who want a parking lot at the end of the street. We've come up with a way and a plan to build it. I think it's time to close the public hearing and take action to build that parking lot.
Sure.
And I'm going to look for the community to help us get to that point. And that concludes my comments.
And I'm sure you can understand that I'm also interested in the same thing, but unfortunately, when I have difficulties maintaining a quorum, it kind of throws things in behind. Yep. In addition to that, I think that it's fair. One of the comments that was made during the Traffic Study Commission is that what's in place right now is fair and equitable to everyone. Meaning that the seasonal parking restriction, it's either everybody can park at any given time during those 10 months, or nobody can park during those 10 months. So that in and of itself is a fair and equitable solution. I love the idea of the parking lot. I want people to have access. I had a conversation with a constituent last night. I said, do you know, she hasn't been down there in 2 years because of all of this, and I gave her tips on how to access in other areas. So, President Cooper.
Thank you. So, Richard, I'm happy to hear your comments, because I'm standing right behind you, pushing the same way. I think that it is important, and if we do this, and there's 2 permits that are required. There's sort of the first one is I live here, right, and I have a car, 2 cars, whatever we decide is appropriate for the neighborhood, and I get some type of parking decal to identify my car, and I get that from the city clerk. The second sort of issue that I see with this is the 24-hour, I'm having a party, and when I spoke to the mayor, he said that that would be maintained. There'd be some type of online accessibility through the Attleboro Police Department website to issue those 24-hour permits, and how he makes that happen is the administration's sort of problem to manage. And then the permit cost and way to obtain the permit to park in the lot is also in that ordinance that I think we have some teeth in to say, should it be 50 cents, $10, $5? I don't know, but we should have that discussion after we close the public hearing next week, and really have in my meetings with the mayor, it was, I don't want to say the amount because I don't remember specifically what he said, but it wasn't, it was way less than the roof that we just approved to put the parking lot in. Remember, it's a gravel parking lot. The gate was expensive. There is a concern. It is approved by Concom, but as Heather noted, if it moves or the layout is changed in any way, they would need to revisit it. So I'm completely behind your push to get it done. The neighbors came and spoke in support. There were a few here. They didn't come in en masse like they have in the past, but there were a few here at that public hearing that were in support of this plan. The users of the land, other than the neighborhood, were in support, and I think we should move it forward and see what happens, but get the parking lot built. We're not going to know, and quite frankly, this is not going to be perfect. Let's just be honest. There's going to be issues with this, unintended consequences of a parking lot and unintended consequences of not letting people park there without a permit. So, and we'll have to see what that brings if there's more than 8 cars that want to park and access the land. But the reality of that is less, because I think people have gotten into a habit of accessing from different parts of the city and access points. And that concludes my comments. So I'm looking forward to the discussion, and I'm anticipating that it happens quickly once the public hearing is closed, so that the parking lot can get staked, get funded, and moved along. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Sarah?
So I just have to clarify this in my mind, because again, I'm for the parking lot as well. They're recommending keeping this, which would close the street June 1st to Labor Day, like they did last year, correct? Wait a minute, just,
Go ahead.
that's right. And all the other months, it is open to parking.
Correct.
That would remain even if the parking lot is there.
So what their recommendation is that in their scope as the Traffic Study Commission, they look at this problem as how is traffic being affected, parking, all of those different concerns. This particular piece of business, the seasonal parking restriction, has managed and maintained and taken away all of the problems as it pertains to traffic. Anything above, beyond any of that, the current legislation that's in front of us, they're literally not weighing in on that because it is a policy.
So I get,
They're
but what
weighing
I'm
in
saying
on
is
none of that.
I know, but what we're saying, so what are we going to do? Because when we use this, we allowed parking every other month.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody.
Mm-hmm. And we
you're
restricted
saying
from everybody. So again,
only on those months. The restrictions were only during
only
those
from
months.
June 1st to the day
That's
after.
right.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't this just stay in effect if that's what we wanted to do for those 3 months and still add a parking lot?
That is something that we can most certainly discuss.
Am I making sense?
No, 100%.
Why would we start adding stronger restrictions when this worked for that particular moment in time?
Mm-hmm.
So now, when we restrict that, we've given them the parking lot. So there is room for people during that time to park that are not living on the street. So that would be the only thing that I would be real, because it's giving everybody something, a bit piece of the pie. I'm not necessarily sure that the decals and all of that stuff, that there isn't something we couldn't think of that would be simpler and easier, more easily managed than the plan that comes out of Cambridge. That's my own feeling. This is a very small area that we're trying to deal with. So that's something, are you saying, did I hear you correctly, that you said that's something we could then talk about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We can, there's nothing, so we're the legislative body. We make the determination as to whether and what restrictions we put in there, what we don't. We can make the recommendation to put in the parking lot. We can say we strongly support that and all of those things, but what's in place down there right now is functional and it works and it's fair and equitable to everybody. Add the parking lot. What's problematic about that, not in my world, but in the reason where this all derived from is when I was in meetings with the residents in that location, with the mayor, the discussion was they don't want a parking lot without additional parking restrictions.
I agree. So, but what I'm saying is, if you don't mind, is then whose responsibility is it to have a discussion with the mayor to say, look, this is working, so we want to keep this, but add the parking lot. We're not this for that, that for this. We want what we have. That's what we want, because it worked. But on those months, if we have a parking lot, then now everything's working. And it's so simplified. So whose responsibility is it as a whole, the council as a whole, to go back, or do we just say, hey, this is what we want to the administration and see how he comes back?
Yes, I would, being that I'm the chairperson of this committee and this is the discussion that the committee is, this is what I would make him aware of that, or I could rock, paper, scissors with President Cooper and make him go instead.
I mean, I think we're all saying the same thing.
We are, and I think that it's appropriate for us, if this is the legislation, that if what is currently in place is there, and we don't have to vote on, or we could vote down the legislative piece that's in front of us that keeps what's currently in place, and then send a resolution to the mayor to install a parking lot.
Well, because it's fair. And it will work for every single person in the city. We're giving everybody something, and no one now is losing out. There's not any months in the year that people can't get to that spot from Beagle Club Road. And that is what we've been trying to get at all this time. So I would suggest strongly to this administration that when this goes back up to them, that we've come to a really great solution here as a whole body, and that is not something that happens all the time, and we are, in turn, offering something that is so beneficial to everyone in this city. And I was so opposed to closing this road down. I mean, vehemently opposed to it. And I would still be if we can't get that parking lot for these people, because that satisfies everything that happens here for 12 months out of the year. And it does it with little harm to nobody and very little money, and that's the end of my comments. Thank you.
I'll get to you in a second. President Cooper?
So I think what I've heard and what I've been told is that, to me, this is about a compromise between what was sent down and what this committee ultimately recommends to the full council. I would recommend that we make any amendments, either at the committee level or before the full council, to take the parts and pieces of it that we think will work and send that up as a vote of this body after we close the public hearing. There's nothing that says we can't do that, although we have heard, some of us have heard at different points in our discussion about Beagle Club Road, that there were, and I think it was said at the public hearing by the mayor, that there were things that he would sort of tolerate from an executive, position on what he would tolerate for things that we wanted to change. But this is truly about compromise, and I think we have come from a place where there were people on this council, some still sitting here, that were vehemently opposed to even a parking lot, that have sort of come to a different place to funding that parking lot. And now, I think that we are in a place where we should close the public hearing, as Vice President Parika suggested, and Councilor Conti is nodding to next week. Do some legwork on what the amendments might look like, proposed changes, if any. I'm happy to, I meet with the mayor every Tuesday, or nearly every Tuesday prior to the meeting. I'm happy to discuss it again with him, to let him know that there's some concern from this council. I'm sure there's somebody in this building at 8:30 tomorrow morning who's going to tell him exactly what we said. I'm not worried about it at all, that he's going to be aware. So I think that, but I can have that conversation with him and say, this is sort of where we're at. And we could add in, if it's a problem, we could add in the sort of I live here pass for parking and be more restrictive on parking if it becomes a problem. And we can add in the 24-hour pass if it's a problem, as we're sort of going through what does a parking lot mean, because we don't know what it means. We think we know what it means, but we don't. Again, it's sort of the unintended consequence of putting it in. But I think something has to be done. It's been going on for far too long. It was the very first place George Ross took me to when I became the counselor, as a problem spot.
Well, and as the Ward 2
Thank you.
counselor, besides being the president of the council, as the Ward 2 counselor, this is your ward. So I take what you have to say very seriously, because they are your constituents. I will say that, I'm more than happy to close this next week, bring it to our committee, which I would have the expectation that everybody would chime in on this during committee, so that when we bring it in front of the full council, it is a full, succinct piece of legislation to send back to the administration. I have some small concerns that he would exercise if it's augmented too far beyond what he has suggested. It is my understanding that he would potentially veto that, which is well within his purview to do so. He did send me an email, and that's why I have my phone. I forgot my iPad, not texting or ignoring anybody, just saying that, he's looking forward to seeing what the council sends the residents of Beagle Club Road and the residents throughout the rest of the city. We're in agreement, which I think is a small overstatement. I don't think it's everybody who appreciates it, but it's a carefully balanced proposal in his opinion, and he would like to see what we have to do. So we have a lot of work to do on that, I think. Setting the fees and all of that stuff, deleting sections should they be necessary, and in the if it goes up to the administration and it's augmented too far beyond what he wants, he can exercise his veto, and it just goes right back to having the parking restriction, and we can still send a letter of suggestion to him saying install the parking lot. So I think it's pretty clear what this council is looking ultimately to have happen. So any other, Mr. Delisio, that's right, I'm sorry.
Thank you. No worries. President Cooper, I couldn't agree more with your sentiments. I think this is going to be a compromise, and what I would ask and what I would like to see is this council working in concert with the administration to be able to get to the end of this, because to use and I know Mr. Kovas loves my cliches, but, this is another tomato can. We just keep kicking and kicking and kicking, and you just look at the amendments, 723-15, 1220-16, 530-17, so on and so forth. We need a compromise where nobody gets everything, but everybody gets something. And I think what we're talking about tonight is what we'd ultimately like to see. But the issue is, and down from the mayor, is what this public hearing's about. So that's where, I would request of the administration to not just veto it, and the mayor did, he was pretty blunt about that at the public hearing. And again, it's his purview, I get it. But instead of just vetoing it, let's have that discussion. Let's be able to come to some kind of a compromise, because even if we stumble, but we stumble forward, it's still progress, So we need to make some sort of progress on this, because, when I think about spring in the council, I think about budget and Beagle Club Road, because those are the two constants in this chamber. So that would be my appeal, is that the administration and the council can work together to finding a happy medium.
So I agree with that as well. What my hesitation is is that we went from having it be a nightmare down there to having no parking whatsoever down there to bringing it to a place where there, for the majority of the year, there is, and there's no more, drug deals and different people dumping out their coolers and things like that. Those things haven't happened. What my concern is that instead of moving forward, making these changes has the potential of us rolling backwards, and it would bring it back up again on where we would have to go back. That's fine. There's a general consensus in that area that, again, what's in place there right now is acceptable, and it has solved the traffic issue. But that's just, I'm happy with going through the discussions with my committee. I'm happy to put forward a good piece of legislation, but that is my biggest concern, because since I became a counselor and I'm in my 6th year, this is what we've been dealing with, and it's been the quietest over the course of the last year. So that's just what my hesitation is having it get rolled back to having it be problematic again, and then having to either go back to the way it was or to make additional corrective changes. That's what my hesitation is. Mr. Blair.
Heather, you could beat this to death till 12 o'clock tonight, right? What you've talked about, it seems general consensus is parking lot, let it remain June to September, and get that part done. If the administration won't go along with that, that's sensible. Like you said, everybody gets something. Then let him worry about it up there. Let him take the punishment. We've taken it long enough. We've come up with an equitable plan that satisfies the neighbors, and they deserve to be satisfied. And it also lets people get a pass at City Hall if they're a resident or whatever, no matter how you set that up, and be able to use the parking lot. And it's not a great expense. Like you said, we passed some stuff today, it was like, gone, right? This is something that can be done, probably most of it in-house, if it wanted to be. So let's get it done. There's no sense beating it anymore.
Okay.
Close the committee, close the public hearing, send it upstairs, our recommendation, and let him go with it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Beagle Club Road, Mr. Waterman?
I just wanted to say, as the newest counselor, my experience at Beagle Hill Road was, first time I was there was last
Actually, point of
summer.
order.
Yeah.
I don't believe Counselor Waterman was a counselor at the time of the public
Public
hearing,
hearing.
so
Oh,
did
so
not
I
participate in the
Can't speak
discussion.
on that.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So I'm going to move on from, our favorite topic of Beagle Club Road and talk about the SERPED meeting that took place last night at Coelho Middle School. It was informative. It is a conceptual plan for changes along the Route 1 corridor. I did speak with the gentleman who performed the informational meeting. I did extend to him an invitation to come and present that to the council. I think it's really important to see that there are, the state of Massachusetts is currently, I think many of us remember when we were at the library, they have their own plans on what to do on the Route 1 corridor. SERPED is an independent nonprofit organization that gets to weigh in on that too. They have some interesting ideas with regards to, let's talk about all the things that drive the council crazy. May Street and all sorts of different things. So I will be sending him an email. Hopefully I can set that up for our committee meeting in 2 weeks. He's happy to do that. Ms. Dolan.
Were these the same folks that presented at the library?
No, the people at the library were from the state. SERPED, yeah, they were Mass DOT, and SERPED was there for that meeting, but they were not part of that presentation. They've done their own separate and distinct analysis of the Route 1 corridor from North Attleboro all the way down.
So was there a substantial difference between the two analysis?
They included
May Street.
Highland, they included May Street, which is what we asked the state to do. They included Highland Ave by BJ's, the entrance and exit there, and made some recommendations for that. They made some recommendations with regards to the Newport Ave side of May Street. So I don't want to ruin the surprise for everyone when that all comes down, but it was pretty informative and very informational, and made me understand that I've been really kind of focused in on one area when I needed to get a mile view of it as opposed to being so narrow. President Cooper.
So first, thank you for attending the meeting. I will say it was the first day back from vacation, and we had spoke in the morning, and Council Reynolds called me as I was trying to get to Coelho and said, I can't get to Coelho, I have something I'm trying to do, are you going? And I happened to call you, and you were in the meeting, so thank you for attending, and thank you for inviting them to come. I think both from the time of that meeting was hard, and I think for the public that watch our meetings, to have some insight into what's going on down there, particularly for wards 1 and 2, but for the city as a whole, to understand sort of what people are agencies and entities are looking at, I think is important. So I'm looking forward to the discussion, and if we need the technical device on wheels so that it can be projected, we can do that.
Sure, and just AACS was there last night as well, and the gentleman, he was kind of hard to hear in the room while we were there, but he was mic'd up, so in between now and the time they present to us, you should be able to see it on AACS as well. Some really great questions came out of it from the residents who live down there, and I think it is important to let those residents in Ward 1 and 2 know that there is someone, this is a chronic problem, and it's nice to know at least someone's paying attention to it. So I was happy about that. So that's that. The next Traffic Study Commission meeting is March 7th. It's a Thursday at 6 p.m. Everybody's welcome. And the only other thing is that I'm going to take this opportunity to discuss Soup for Heat. So our friends that are at home watching, this Saturday, noon to 2, Soup for Heat over at this Larson Senior Center. President Cooper runs the kitchen. I'll be there making vegetable soup. Still on the fence about orzo or rice and that. We'll figure it out. But we have our local politicians. Many of us will be there serving up soup. It's $10 per person, or 4 tickets for $30. Seniors and children are $7. They have you get a commemorative soup mug, soups, snacks, beverages. There's a door prize, and they also have raffles too. So it's a phenomenal, great nonprofit organization which helps keeps Attleboro homes warm every winter. So hopefully people will be happy to participate. And I will call, any other questions, concerns? Yes, Mr. Cooper.
So I see the solar light is still on your docket, and it's been installed. So you're planning to strike that and give everybody an update that it was installed?
Yes, I actually made a motion to strike that, and it is. Being that I was acting president, I couldn't act on any of my business last week. So next week I'll take care of that. And
great.
Yes, it's installed. It's working beautifully. I did get a comment from a resident in that area that they thought it was going to go in an alternate location. I said, but I spoke with Mr. Conti. Mr. Conti verified it with the individual that brought it forward, and it's exactly where it's supposed to be. So, Mr. Conti.
So I think it was 3 degrees when I went there to meet with the resident that abuts the property where the sign is located, because I didn't want it to be in a place where it's flashing in his bedroom window or
Sure.
causing a problem. And it was such a simple installation. The pole was already there. Just take down a horse sign, put up the thing. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A friend of mine's wife. Her mother died at that intersection in a horrific traffic accident that I would like to see not repeated. And the stories that I hear of that area of traffic is just absolutely stunning. And I told the resident that this summer when it's warmer, that I would come with a jug of iced tea and sit at his picnic table and listen to all the other things that he has to talk about, and maybe invite a few ward councilors with me to hear what he has to say. He's a very interesting man. But thank you for the traffic light. I think it is the first solar blinking light in the city of Attleboro, and without a doubt in one of the most difficult places. The second only to the Brown and Menden Road intersection. You go down the hill. That's another one that's pretty bad, but that's up to the chief of police. I'm very happy with what we've got done. I think the council should be proud of it. It's a very good accomplishment. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I call for an adjournment at 9:34.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
I would like to call budget and appropriations to order at 9:34. This should be really quick. I don't have any motions, but I do just want to kind of give a really quick preliminary update on the budget. I've begun conversations with Barry Lacasse, who sent both President Cooper and I an email and a timeline of when they're expecting the budget. I spoke with Barry earlier this afternoon about what he's thinking, and, you know, he is hopeful that by the end of March, he'll have the department head meetings all taken care of. He'll have the cherry sheets out by then. So we're shooting for the same, relatively close to the same timeline to get the budget out, which is in April. So we'll have time to really review it. I'd like to sit down with you, President Cooper, and kind of talk about some of the finer nuances of what we want to see happen this year with the budget in terms of the budget hearings. That's really all I have at this point, but.
So this is the only time we can talk.
Sure.
And what I'm seeing is that there's a disturbance in the universe. The capital improvement plan is going to be delivered April 1st, maybe April 16th. The budget is going together right at that same time. But in a perfect world, the capital improvement would be all reviewed and the budget would then start. And this year, I've got a brand new freshman counselor and a first term counselor that I want to take, and all counselors, and all public members of the public, to some very complicated capital improvement issues.
Sure.
Which is going to take the third and fourth week of March, all of April, and probably the first and second week of May, just to get through our capital improvement plan, which starts before the book is even delivered. Okay, so I'm trying to rush. You saw tonight me rushing to try to get something accomplished as quickly as I could to get it out of the way so that I could get on to other things. But I'm also seeing that my committee and your committee need to be in a hybrid committee mode on the budgeting with the administration. That what you said earlier tonight about the department budgeting for capital improvements and your idea about the vehicle improvement plan, replacement plan. There exists a model whereby a department can budget for capital improvements, and we're seeing it in the fire department. The fire department has their own 5-year capital improvement plan that they just bolt into the capital improvement plan, but you know, it's really on automatic pilot. And it is perhaps somewhat of a model for the rest of the departments in the city. When I looked at the wastewater and the water and the senior department, the 3 that I've received so far, the wastewater department list is monstrous.
Right.
Having a big impact on our water rate. And I want some mechanism to be able to alert the public that the infrastructure has reached the end of its useful life, and that it's going to be it was very expensive when we built it. We paid for it for a very long time, and we're entering into that area where something similar to that is likely to happen. There has to be some kind of mechanism, and I don't know what it is, Counselor, but I need to share the capital improvement responsibility with the budget and administration. And the two of us, the capital improvement, city development, and budget administration, need to work together with the administration to perhaps change some habits and some status quo for us to accomplish what I think we can. And what I see for Attleboro in the future is what I learned at the MMA conference in Boston in January, where they had sessions of communities that had successfully done that. And I know it can happen. The question is, can we make it happen in Attleboro?
So I wouldn't be opposed, Counselor, to scheduling a joint meeting with budget and appropriations and capital improvements, even if it just comes down to you and I having a conversation. This way here, where we are on the same committee, that we can
A
try to
public
come up.
meeting, make it a public posted meeting.
You know, and we can certainly talk about the logistics of that. I think what makes it really challenging, and we saw this 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, where we're on a very specific timeline with that budget. And if we don't get it done by a certain time, which we all know, it's 45 days from when it's presented to us, it's going to automatically pass. So although I'm 100% in agreement, and I concur with what you're saying, I think we need to really kind of use March as that time on how do we do it. And maybe the answer, Counselor, is instead of budget hearings, we're doing joint capital improvement and budget hearings, which might be a little unorthodox, but
I like that idea.
if that's where we're at, and it may be something that we have to do, I think we can't take any idea off the table at this point.
Here's my point, Counselor, is that I tried to get the administration to get assistance from the best practices through the Department of Labor Service Bureau of Labor Administration and failed. And I can't think of any other way to cause change other than what you suggest, that you and I sit down in a public hearing and listen to my frustration, listen to your ideas, and try to come up with a plan on how the two committees together. I like this idea of combining budget and capital improvement meetings together. I like that idea a lot. But the councils need to know what they're talking about in the budget meetings, and so that means you got to get out in the field and see what the stuff is.
100%.
So maybe we can work that out.
Yeah, I think we need to, because the budget itself is such a ponderous book, if you will. You know, and 95% of it, round up 95% of it's contractual.
Yep.
So we can barrel through this thing with a fine-tooth comb, and, you know, I have no reason to believe that, you know, that's going to change this year. I think that if we're looking at a level-funded budget again, when you take in inflation, we're actually talking about a budget cut, right? So you're going to have to do more with less, and that's a challenge. And then we have to look at, you know, we're already asking the taxpayers to take on the new school. We're already looking at a potential, because we haven't seen the water or wastewater rate move in a couple years. I think that's a very real possibility. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's more than just having the department heads come down. And in the vein of transparency, I think we have to be prepared that maybe we don't invite every department head down. You know, and although it's really nice to get everyone down here and to see everyone, I think that this year it's going to propose a little bit of a challenge, and we have to be a little bit more nimble on how we meet that challenge. So these are all things that I'm going to be kicking around over the next couple weeks, and I'd like to find a time, and through Virginia I'll send a couple dates out where maybe we can, and I'd like it to be an off council night, but that's where I'm heading at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Cobus.
Not to prolong things too much longer, but just a quick comment, as you have those conversations with the budget director and the administration, one of the things that I'm sure they're already thinking about it, but if you could kind of remind them as part of those discussions, is that with the increased tax bills coming out and the work that's going on in the senior committee, the potential that we may want to increase the overlay account to accommodate an increase in usage of those different senior programs may be appropriate. I
Point of
emailed.
order, Mr. Chairman, the overlay account is set by the Board of Administration.
Correct.
Assessors, we
Okay.
don't really have
Correct.
anything to say on that.
And that's something, Councilor Cobus, we could always incorporate into a budget message. I mean, things of
Okay.
that nature. But yep, I think
Nope,
that's fair.
good point.
Right, thank you. President Cooper,
Were you done?
Yeah, sure.
are you positive? though?
I emailed Stan last week to ask him for information on if usage has increased recently or
Yep.
not, and to find out what those numbers are. As soon as I hear back, I'll share it with the full council.
Appreciate it.
That's
Thank you.
I just wanted to talk through since we're talking about budget, talk
Yeah.
publicly and to the council as a whole on the financial analyst and let you know sort of what my plan is, and if anybody is doesn't agree, to either let me know now or send me an email later. My plan is to talk, I've already spoken to Owen about the council president sending to the council the auditor's name. I talked to Deb about it last year when she participated. I sort of functioned in that role as the financial analyst. It's on my list of city solicitor discussion items, and that's second to my one from earlier tonight. I am gonna seek an opinion from her if there's any conflict of interest in serving as the auditor and the financial analyst. I can't recognize one myself, but I'm not a lawyer. And so let her tell us whether or not I can do that. If she says I can, my intention is to send, with Deb's agreement, she was in agreement last year when we talked about it, to send her name to this honorable body for confirmation as the financial analyst as well as the city auditor. So I just want to let you all know that that's in the works. Has been in the works for a while. I did get a few applications. We did apply, put it in the MMA monthly that comes out. We didn't get any. We got 2 applicants from that. Neither were what we were really looking for. And I think we sort of pressure tested it last year with Deb, and I think we were all happy with the result of that. So because of that, I just decided that I would move that along this year. Without any sort of warranted objection from anyone, either on the budget committee or any other counselor. So if you have anything to say about that, by all means, send me an email later or tomorrow, whatever. But I will get that opinion for us.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I'm 100% in favor of that. I think it's the right thing to do. I've already had preliminary discussions with the auditor and asked her to sit in the same capacity that she had last year, because I think there was a lot of value. She was able to talk in depth about the revolving accounts, which I think there's oftentimes there's a little bit of ambiguity when we're looking at that. So she was able to clear up a lot of questions and concerns. So Deb has been really, this is my first term as chair of the budget. This will be my second, and it's cumbersome. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of nuances, and Deb's available whenever I need it. Barry's available as well as Laura. So 100% I'm in favor of that. But that is all I had this evening. Thank you for the discussion, what I thought was going to be a good 37-second. I think it was robust. I think we got a lot taken care of. I would look to adjourn at 9:47.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 9:47. Thank you.
Bless you. I'd like to call to order the License Committee at 9:47. I have one motion this evening from the docket of February 19th, 2019. I entertain a motion to approve the application for a scrap metal recycler junk dealer from Polarized New England Company, LLC, DBA Schnitzer Northeast at 137 Bacon Street, Attleboro.
Second.
Point of order, I believe you
Yeah,
said
it's
37.
136.
It's 136.
What did I say?
I think you said 137.
Did I? Okay, thank you. Correction, 136 Bacon Street. Oh, boy. Does anybody have any questions?
No questions, just a comment. I think that we've talked about this particular site for many years, time after time. There was a time where this location was as hot item as Beagle Club Road, May Street, other things that we've talked about from time to time. And I just want to publicly thank, I haven't gotten any complaints in a long time. Sarah, I know you used to get them quite a lot. I want to publicly thank the owner and operator of that business for doing what this council and what the neighborhood asked them to do. They invested a tremendous amount of money in the site and in site improvements. Many of us that have been here for a while were amazed when we went on a tour of, and we knew what was there prior. Peter, I think you were there. Richard, I remember sitting in the bus next to you. And I just, this is a business that went over and above to to make it right, and they did it, and thank you to them, and I'm in full support, but I would be remiss if I didn't say something publicly about what they went through to get compliant and get some sort of, become neighborly, if you will.
You got to take advantage of it when you
Right, right.
have that opportunity.
Yep, that concludes my comments, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. That's all the business I have this evening. I'd like to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry.
Before you adjourn, is there anything, thing to add on the other item in your
The complaint?
minutes? Yes.
Well, there is, kind of. I did reach out to the owner to discuss this matter, and he sent me a signed contract of them getting their money returned, the complainant.
Oh.
But I reached out to them, the complainant, and I only had an email address. I couldn't find anything on any paperwork or the phone number. They never responded. I didn't get it kicked back that it was a bad email address, so I just wanted to confirm with them that what I was looking at was accurate and that they indeed got their money returned to them.
The only thing I would say is maybe any documentation that you received in terms of that resolution of that complaint that gets stamped to the clerk's office and put into the record for this.
Right.
For this
And I will do that. I was
applicant, and then you
have more
can
documentation.
remove it from your docket.
I will. Thank you. Anything else? I'd like to adjourn at 9:51.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
I'd like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 9:51. Members of my committee are, of course, myself, Councilor Blair, and Councilor Holmes. And so I'll start with the docket of March 5th, 2019. I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to declare the following school department items as surplus and available for disposition. I have 4 items. Their condition is all outdated, and their description is JVC XL-426, it's a CD player, a JVC RX, a 317 receiver, a JVC TD W317 cassette deck, and a JVC AL-597 turntable. All those,
Second.
thank you.
Sorry, I think that you said 5-7, I think it's 9-7.
F97, I might have said 5.
You said 597, so.
Okay, F97, a
Second.
turntable.
Sorry about that, second.
So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. They're totally outdated. Any other comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to declare the following police items as surplus and available for disposition. There are 8 of them. They are Fujitsu stylists. They are all in poor condition. And the first one, model number is Q3606761. The serial number is 35111 AKZ X0064AAH. The second one is Q3606758. The serial number is 35111 AKZ X0064AAH. Actually, they all look the same. Let me see there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them with that serial number. And the third one has a model number of Q3606759. The other model number is Q3606754. And the 5th model number is Q3606755, all with the exact same serial number. Yes, sir.
How is that possible?
That's what it is, 8K. They must all be the same, I don't know, but they all have the exact same serial number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
Different model numbers.
Different model numbers. Isn't that's very odd, though, I'll agree with you.
Very odd.
Yep. Okay, then the last 3 have exactly the same serial number. They are 35111 AM ZX0183ZAC. But their model numbers are also different. Q4800874. There's one with Q4800869. And the last one is Q4800873.
Second.
Thank you. Again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. From the docket of February 19th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to accept the donation of $50 in Stop and Shop gift cards from Howard Walsh to the Veterans Department.
Second.
Thank you. Any concerns, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor in accordance to Section 5-8 lease purchase agreement of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve a 42-month lease agreement with Konica Minolta for the leasing of 12 copiers to be used at the Attleboro High School.
Second.
Thank you. Again, self-explanatory. Anyone have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to declare the following water department items as surplus and available for disposition. 4 fire hydrants with associated parts and piping, they're damaged. 200 water meters, they are used. And 1 Craftsman riding lawnmower, model 917.257720. S/N number 012-794-600-1425, and that's in fair condition.
Second.
Thank you. Again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Anyone have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. And this is my last motion. I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to declare the following park and forestry department items as surplus and available for trade-in or resale value and available for disposition. So 4 of them are mowers. And every one of these are junk, very poor, or poor. So they're junk. They're just junk. A gravelly walk-behind mower, model Rapid M, serial number QCU000184. A Troy-built riding mower. The model is GTX20, serial number 2703421037. A Husqvarna push mower, model 60ZLP. The serial number is 4207525278. And the last mower is no, that was the 4th one. No. Yes,
have
did I
another-
read 4 push mowers? Oh, yep, the last one was a Husqvarna push mower. It does not have a model number, but it has a serial number. 012306M001240. Hang on, guys, because there's more coming. Then there is 1 Arion snow blower, model number 924086, serial number 008966. And there is 2 tractors. One is a gravelly walk-behind tractor. It has no model number, but its serial number is E2959387. And then there is a Ford tractor, and its model number is 641 tractor, and the serial number is 15898. Okay, there is 1 Howard rototiller, and it is a model Rotaho. The serial number is 49631231. And then there are 2 Billy Goat lawn blowers. One model number is QB994S with a serial number of 0703030001, and the second Billy Goat lawnmower has a model number of F901H with a serial number of 0703044723. And then the last thing is 1 Eagle trailer. And it has a model number of 3850GVW with a serial number of 4KPFT1519TP001191.
Second.
Thank you. And that is pretty self-explanatory because they are just ready for the trash. Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. And that is all the, yes, I was just going to read Diana's. That is all the City Property and Claims Committee has for business this evening, and I would like to call, thank you, an adjournment at 9:59.
Second.
Thank you, we're adjourned at 9:59.
We'll call to order at 10 p.m. Appointment, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee. I have 4 motions this evening. From the docket of November 20th, 2018, I entertain a motion to call a public hearing on April 5th, 2019 for the following. Amend Section 17 zoning ordinance of the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro to change the special permit granting authority for marijuana establishments from special permit municipal council to special permit zoning board of appeals.
Second.
Thank you. We had discussed this a little bit earlier. This is just calling for a public hearing to change that, to make that change. Any other comments or questions? No. Okay. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. From the docket of January 15, 2019, to adopt Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8J, as it pertains to changing the Attleboro Disability Committee to the Attleboro Disability Commission, and all that entails.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. So I have a few comments about that. I would like to encourage the council to support this change. Last week, we heard from the Disability Council Chair, who clearly communicated to us why this change should happen. One of the main reasons includes the ability for Attleboro to access grant money. One of the most impressive grants is the Municipal Americans with Disability Grant Act, which awards up to $250,000. The goal of this grant is to remove barriers and to create and improve accessible features for persons with disability. A year ago, the Disability Council had new members appointed, and they are now telling us that the best path forward is for the city to have a disability commission. I just have one other thing. Everybody received the handicap parking revenues. It was just a single piece of paper that, and basically it's around $5,000 a year in revenue, and that would if we do make this change, I hope we do, that would all be going to the Disability Commission. Right now, it's set up that it goes into the general, 50% of it goes to the general fund and 50% of it goes to parking. When I asked for clarification on what that meant, parking can be used for any repairing the machines that are used, for instance, at the YMCA. It can be used for small repairs. So that's what happens to the funds right now. But when we make this change, it would all be going to the Disability Commission. And then one of the requests that was made was that if we could please make it pass for fiscal year July 1st, make it effective so that way the change will be a nice, clean transition. Any comments?
Are you suggesting an amendment that to add the effective, upon pass, this would become effective July?
I
Or
can
do you
do
want to do that
now.
at the full
I was going to
council?
do it at the full council.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I couldn't be more supportive of this if I tried. Traffic and transportation can be complex for individuals with disabilities in our community. It is hard for them to navigate through the streets of Attleboro, whether it's we have sidewalks with their accessibility that don't line up. We have traffic lights that don't have the audible announcing. I know that Councilor Dolan and I have talked about that before. I've had conversations repeatedly with residents in the city over that. It is an expensive endeavor. It's about $1,600 per two-way, so that if it's 4, you double it again. It's $800 a pool. So if there was the possibility that one of our commissions could, through their diligence, be able to get grant money that the city would be able to utilize, or they could make a donation to us to be able to implement some of this. It just makes the community more accessible and safer for those residents that need that a little extra help. So I am 150% in support of this, and I look forward to seeing what they could do for that. My only other question is, when I was looking in the charter today, or the ordinance book today, is there I'll send you an email about it, but I believe we have the capacity to change how much the fees are assessed for handicap parking violations or other violations to the city. So it might be something that we might want to look into as well. So if we wanted to make an adjustment to that, to make it even more lucrative, we might want to do that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
No, I'm fully supportive of this commission. I think they're really on right track. And any of us could be invited. I've been invited to go to their April meeting, and I think it'd be very interesting to attend one of their meetings.
Thank you. So I will call for, go ahead.
I want to congratulate you because I tried to sidetrack some of the parking fees for the Sanford Parking Garage Capital Improvement Plan, and I had no success. But this is a smaller number, and I think it's staving off a very, very big potential problem that's very, very expensive. And I happen to be intimate with another city that has hit that wall solidly and has been struggling for 2 years to try to wrestle their way through the management of the problem. And what Councilor Parika said illustrates the issue at hand. So kudos to you. I thought this was a revolving fund and that it would need to be done with all the other revolving funds, but if we can make it happen now, terrific. You get my support 100%. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. From the docket of February 19, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request for the following a special legislation language, mayor term limits motion, petition to the general court to enact the following legislation to amend Attleboro City Charter by amending Section 3-1 of Attleboro City Charter election term compensation, provided that the legislator may reasonably vary the form of substance of requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of the petition, and act to amend Section 3-1 election term compensation to be enacted by the State and House of Representatives in the General Court assembled and by the authority of the same follows. Section 3-1 of the Attleboro City Charter is hereby amended by inserting the following language after the first section of Section 3-1. No mayor shall serve more than 8 years as a mayor of Attleboro, with the sole exception of a city councilor who became mayor to finish the unexpired term of a previous mayor. No mayor shall be elected for more than 4 two-year terms. This act shall take effect upon its passage.
Second.
Okay, I have some comments. Let me take this opportunity to make myself perfectly clear. I will not be supporting this change. Right now, the business that is before the council is to use a special act or home rule petition process to change the charter, which I believe is inconsistent with the state law and certainly inconsistent with the intent of the state law. The issue at hand is not really with term limits, but what process should be used to make a significant change to the city charter. A special act can be used for thematic changes such as the business Councilor Dolan has brought up. For a significant change, the process is detailed in Mass General Law, Chapter 43B, which states that any substantial change to the charter requires an establishment of a charter commission. Therefore, the special act process that the mayor is attempting to use should not be used. Please refer to our city solicitor's opinion. She stated that the process of the charter amendment, which is 15 individual steps, a very lengthy process to do this. It's not a quick thing. This process does include the mayor taking steps to form a charter commission if he wants to implement term limits. Again, the business before us is not to add this to a ballot. It is to simply use a special act to make the change. I'm bringing it out of committee because I believe the full council should have the right to cast a vote on the matter. Councilor Handy.
Councilor Holmes, I stand behind you 100%. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you.
I agree with Councilor Conti 100%. I stand behind exactly what you said. Thank you.
Councilor Holmes, I stand behind you 100%.
Thank you.
Well, I could repeat them, exactly what they're saying, but I want to say a little more. I'm open-minded at this point about term limits, but I definitely feel this is a decision that falls to the citizens of this city. And this is a big change in our charter. And it's not the right thing to do to send it to the legislature, not for this type of a charter change. And I support you 100%.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilor.
150%.
It's not the price is right.
Yeah. I think that if the matter does come before us to ask for a ballot, to be on the ballot, that would be a different type of communication that hasn't happened yet. There was conversations prior to this that there was a potential of that happening. It didn't. This is what is before us right now, so we need to take this out of committee, vote on it, and then move forward if there's any other communications or if that's an avenue.
I think that the process by which you're managing this is spot on as well. I think killing it in committee does it a bit of a disservice, and I think it's important to send the message back to the voters of the city of Attleboro that we value, that's what our job is here. We value your opinion, and a motion of this magnitude, it needs to be decided by the voters. So I appreciate, again, the manner in which you're bringing this out, and I look forward to taking a negative vote on it next week.
Okay.
Well said.
So will this be brought out of committee now? I'm confused. We'll bring it out of committee and then next week it will be, okay. Okay, so I will call for a vote unless there's any other comments.
Just as a point of clarity, so you'll vote yes now and then
Yes.
no later, okay?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. And then I just have one more quick motion. From the docket of March 5th, 2019, special legislation language to amend charter. The motion to petition the general court to enact the following legislation to amend Attleboro City Charter by replacing any gender-specific wording with the gender-neutral wording, specifically deleting the word councilman and inserting in its place the word counselor, deleting the word committeeman and inserting in its place the word committee member, replacing the word him with the words him, her, and the word his with the words his, her, whenever they appear, provided that the legislator may reasonably vary the form and substance of the requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of the petition. An act to amend the Attleboro City Charter by making all gender references therein gender neutral. To be enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives in a general court assembled and by the authority of the same follows. Section 1. The Attleboro City Charter is hereby amended by replacing any gender-specific wording with gender-neutral wording, specifically deleting the word councilman and inserting in its place the word counselor, deleting the word committeeman and inserting in its place the word committee member, replacing the word him with the words him, her, and the word his with the word his, her, whenever they appear. Section 2. This act shall take effect upon its passage by the general court.
Second.
Thank you. This is just, like I was mentioning, a language change. It really, to me, doesn't seem, it's not in line with making any huge change to our city charter, and that's the reason why I do support this. Are there any other comments? Go ahead.
Thank you. I would say the big difference with this isn't changing the way we do business in the city. This isn't circumventing the voters. This isn't circumventing a process. I think what this does is just brings us into 2019. So.
Councilor.
Exactly what Councilor Delicio said. Like I said, when I brought it out, it doesn't change the way we do business. It doesn't change the way we vote. It doesn't change anything that we do now. It just brings us up to 2019, and I hope everybody supports it, and I hope everybody can see, the difference in when you're talking about a charter change, that it's not, it's just language.
Vice President Priest.
So I appreciate you bringing this forward. Last week I said the same. I support it. it's the practical application of what I've been doing ever since I became a counselor anyway. I've always referred to myself as counselor. My email address is Counselor Parika. It's just part and practice, and it just kind of validates the manner in which we've done business. I know that Julie Hall operated in the same manner, and I'm sure that there are other, the rest of us that are on this council have referred to themselves as such. And I actually find it weird when people say Councilwoman Parika. I prefer just being referred to as Councilor Parika because that's what I am. I'm a city councilor. So I very much support this. I know that you and I had discussion about, I really like the residents of the city to be able to weigh in. They have had their in this particular instance, they can give us a call and let us know. It's completely different than the other piece of business, and so I look forward to supporting it, and thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you.
So I support this measure. 9 years ago, when I started calling everybody counselor in their last name, it wasn't very well received. Some counselors were offended by it, and they felt that it was impersonal and that I was mocking them. And I didn't stop because I felt strongly that the measure that Council Dolan put forth is past due. And I said last week that I appreciate you doing it, and I frankly think it makes Attleboro a better place. When you think of Mother Attleboro, a mother would have it gender inclusive. And so I like it. I like it a lot. And it's time for it to happen. So thank you. And that concludes my comments.
Do I get to comment a second time?
Sure you do.
Just to clarify, when we use the words gender neutral, no one refers to me, no one has ever looked my face and said, Councilman Dolan. They don't do that, and I understand that. That's not how it goes. When I pull papers to run for office, it says councilman. When I go through all my paperwork, it says councilman. No, it's not because I'm a baby. No, it's not because I'm offended. The point being is, I'm not a man. And when I get these papers, I should have the same respect that you get when you get yours. If we were changing it to councilwoman, that might be a different story. But point being is it's just to have the same respect for everybody, gender, male, female, whatever the case may be. So I took a little bit of a beating over this, and it has nothing to do with gender neutral.
So if she gets to speak twice, do I get to speak twice? So I'm married to a woman named Martha. I've been married to her for 34 years. And for 34 years, when we go to restaurants, she says, the waitress says, can I help you guys? Martha would correct the waitress and say, I'm not a guy. I've been listening to this so long, I'm sick of hearing it. She's right. Laura's right. Martha's right. And I've already said it. It's past due. And congratulations for doing this. I think very highly of both of you for marshaling it through and getting it done. Thank you. Concludes my comments.
Anything else? Anything else? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm a father of 2 daughters, so maybe that influenced my thinking, but 50 years ago, I would have voted for this. So I'm really glad you did this. And this, I think it's a good thing, not only that it should go to the State House, Councilor Delizio, I agree with you, but it's something that, it's an ordinance that the State House needs to look at sometimes, too. And I'll just leave it at that. So it's good they get a chance to hear from us.
So I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. And that concludes the business for urban sections and legislative. I'll call for adjournment at 10:18.
I'd like to call Public Safety Emergency Management to order at 10:18. I have one motion this evening. In the docket of March 5th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $10,000 to account 1220100-524230, fire, vehicle maintenance, and $10,000 to account 1220100-524260, fire, major vehicle repairs, from account 1-000-359000, undesignated fund balance, free cash, general government, regarding the need to provide funding through the fire department vehicle maintenance and major vehicle repair accounts to maintain the fire department apparatus for the rest of fiscal year.
Second.
We had one come through on a water pump for a Ford Ranger, and I was Fabregal asked it. It said $2,000. I said, I got out of this business too soon. But believe it or not, I looked it up on the computer. I had somebody look it up for me, okay? And went over it, and it's right on. It involves that kind of work. It just astronomical. There's nobody here, none of us guys or women, right, would think that a water pump would cost you $2,000 to replace. I couldn't believe it myself, but it's a type of vehicle that has dual timing chains, and it's mounted behind the timing chains. You gotta, in some cases, possibly remove the engine from the vehicle to do the job, put it back in the vehicle. Absolutely ridiculous engineering. But that's what they're running against. And it's nothing that can be done in-house. It's a dealership type repair. Both of these accounts are just about out of money. And hopefully we don't have any major repairs between now and the end of the year. Talking to the fire chief, or he'll be back looking for more money. It's not a wish list. This is a necessity. Any other comments? You got any questions about it? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Well, I have the floor. The Emmett Larkin Foundation annual fundraiser is coming up March 16th. It's going to be held at the Elks, as it has been in the past. This is one of the most charitable organizations that put their money to the needy kids or the kids that need help throughout the city. They donate a tremendous amount of money on a yearly basis. Emmett Larkin was a friend of mine through the Recreation Commission, and his motto was, no kid left behind. Many trips to the Red Sox game, or Pawtucket Red Sox, or some event that our kids would go to automatic. And there was a lot of kids throughout the Armory, especially the east side, that the parents couldn't come up with the $10 or the $15 or whatever it was. And Emmett continually reached in his own pocket and paid for kids to go to these events with no notoriety, not looking for a thank you, and not looking to further his name among the public. He did it because he honestly loved the kids, and not especially, he loved them all, but the underprivileged kids he took a real heart to. So I would encourage my fellow councilors to attend. It's on March 16th and will be held at the Attleboro Elks. It's a great night. I mean, even if you didn't know Emmett, right? And there's a lot of us that'll be there because we knew Emmett and what he stood for. But even if you didn't know him, it's a great night, a lot of fun, there's dancing. I think we all mix very well together. We have a great time. If I could only get Delicio to dress up when he goes to one of those, he usually dresses down. No, I only kidding.
They take fashion advice from Peter Blair.
I'm just trying to liven things up. I'm getting real sad talking about Emmett, and I really think I encourage all of my fellow councilmen to support this because it supports the underprivileged kids of Attleboro. Yes, Mr.
Thank you for bringing this up. This is my favorite event of the year. I may not be able to actually make it this year because of a scheduling conflict. It'll be my first in 10 years I haven't gone to. But, there's also the Emmys where they recognize volunteers throughout the city, throughout the course of the year. It's a lot of fun. It really, truly is. And you forgot to mention the best part, which is the corned beef cabbage.
Oh, it's truly an Irish night, and the corned beef and cabbage is great. I brought people last year that never had corned beef and cabbage before. Never.
I don't understand that.
And they loved it. I can't believe Dolan don't like corned beef
She loves it.
and cabbage. Anyway, thank you.
No,
for-
she loves it.
Todd?
That's her favorite. I wait for March for it. What are you talking about? And then when Stop and Shop has their halfway to St. Patrick's Day corned beef sale, I'm on it.
Okay.
It was a great time last year. Quick question.
Yeah.
When are there tickets for sale? And is there a deadline to purchase those tickets? And how do people buy those?
I don't think there's any deadline. I never seen Leo Johnson refuse $1 in my life, especially when it goes to charity. But I think tickets will be available very shortly, if not already available. And
who would we reach out to for those?
Leo Johnson, and I can leave the phone number there.
Indeed.
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I know he's
I'll forward you an email from Leo.
Okay, thank you.
make a hell of a secretary. I have no other business this evening, and I move to adjourn at 10:26.
Second.
I'd like to remind committee members that there's a Rules and Procedures Committee meeting in this room tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. All councilors are invited. Landmark changes coming to the council. That concludes my announcement for Rules and Procedures.
Cancel senior tax. All right, so senior tax abatement committee's canceled this evening. I should have an update in the next few weeks, though.
Great.
Yeah, just cigarette, okay.
I gotta look, I already watched it.
Like that.